I am traveling to visit my mom in Kentucky for Christmas, and then I'm going to Montana with you, Amy. My routine is completely thrown off, but there's one thing that I am maintaining. And that's Ritual.
Ritual is an obsessively researched multivitamin. Their essential multis have the nutrients most of us don't get enough from our food, especially me, all in their clean and absorbable forms. There's no shady additives or ingredients that do more harm than good.
I'm currently taking their essentials for women 18 plus, which contains 9 key nutrients in 2 delayed release capsules designed for optimal absorption per day.
We take their Symbiotic Plus Gut Health every evening before bed, and that minty freshness actually is like a little treat before I go to sleep.
Get to go to bed fresh. Ritual's essential third-party tested for heavy metals and clean label project certified.
Their products are HSA, FSA eligible with a seamless checkout experience, so you can even save when you shop with your pre-tax dollars.
Instead of striving for perfect health, aim for supportive foundational health.
Our listeners get 25% off your first month at ritual.com/booktalk.
That's ritual.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, for 25% off your first month. Celaena recovers from the battle for Mistward and leaves Wendlyn behind, journeying to Doranelle to face Queen Maeve. When Maeve punishes Rowan to force Celaena to reveal the location of the third Wyrdkey, Celaena answers with wildfire and outmaneuvers the immortal queen, winning Rowan's freedom from his blood oath. But Rowan's loyalty is already decided. Before Maeve and the Cadre, he swears a new blood oath, not to Celaena, but Aelin Galathynius. In Rifthold, news of Aelin's wildfire and the fight against Norak throws the kingdom into chaos. Plans for escape unravel when the King of Aderlin intercepts them. Aedion is tricked into giving up his identity, and he is restrained while the king kills the true traitor in their midst. Dorian's magic is revealed in his attempt to save Chaol, who flees to Aniel while his prince is shackled. High in the Farian Gap, Manon and the 13 win the war games, but at what cost? Hey there, we're BookTok for BookTok with Jac and Amy, your book besties who take the novels you love seriously. This is Jac.
And I'm Amy, and we bring the tools of literary analysis to the women-written novels lighting up BookTok, from romance to romantasy. Think of it as your favorite fandom books, treated with the same respect you'd give a classic in a literature class, just with more humor and less homework.
Each season, we deep dive into one book, breaking down themes, imagery, and character motivations. Together, we combine our 13 years of literary academic training with our fandom love to help you see your favorite books in a whole new way. We also analyze the story through 2 different literary lenses, giving you more than one way to look at the text.
This week, we're discussing chapters 57 through 68 of Sarah J. Maas's third novel in the Throne of Glass series, Heir of Fire.
For a complete list of episodes and the chapter breakdowns, be sure to check out our Instagram at the handle BookTok for BookTok.
Before we dive in, let's talk about Spilt. Spoilers, perspective and interpretation, language, and themes.
Spoilers! This episode covers Heir of Fire with full context of the first 3 books, Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and Heir of Fire. If you haven't read those, this is your only spoiler warning. Anything beyond Heir of Fire and other SJM works will be saved for our Breadcrumbs and Broomsticks episode, which airs this Thursday.
Perspective and interpretation. These are just our takes, our personal readings of the text. We don't speak for Sarah J. Maas, and we know you'll have your own interpretations too. We love hearing them, so share away.
Language. We use explicit language and we can't help ourselves and we will not grow. So keep your headphones in and the kids away.
Themes. We will discuss tough topics like sex, violence, abuse, depression, self-harm, and death. We do our best to flag heavier moments where we can, but listener discretion is advised.
As always, let's keep the conversation going. Tag us, DM us, or use the submission form on our website. And if you want exclusive content and live streams, find us over at patreon.com/BookTok for BookTok.
And technically, have we announced? We haven't
What?
announced
Mm.
reduced ads.
Oh, yeah.
Reduced ads.
reduced ads. So, like, if you pay
For $1 a month.
for $1 a month, you can cut out some of these ads. But then there's some that we bake into the episode that we can't take out. So, but you just get a lot of the other ones go away.
Yeah. So check it out, guys.
Yeah. $1. It's worth it.
$1 a month.
Yeah.
We might even have a New Year special for $10 for the year.
Really?
We can do
That's
that.
exciting. Oh, okay. Yeah, let's do that.
Can't get enough analysis? Make sure to check out the Subtext Society Journal, where we write think pieces discussing the romance and romantasy genre as a whole, the ongoing conversations in the bookish community, and insights into the publishing world. You can read our latest articles for free with no subscription required. But to receive the new articles in the future, make sure to subscribe.
Want to be published? Head to the subtextsocietyjournal.substack.com to submit your article for a chance to be a contributor.
Because this is the final episode, we're going back to the question we asked ourselves in episode 1 for this book, which is, do we believe Celaena's character arc as she metamorphizes? I don't know if that's the right word. As she morphs into Aelin Galathynius, why or why not?
Themes we will see in this section include unmasking, grief, and grieving.
All right, we are starting in chapter 57. I just want to say, guys, this is going to be a long one.
But we're going to try to talk so fast.
So fast.
Amy has to go get a tattoo removal and we have things to do.
So no extra talking on our part. Celaena sleeps for a while after the battle, and there are usual end of battle things going on, hostages, cleaning up, repairs, healing, etc. I found this point particularly interesting. Quote, when they subdued the surviving enemy soldiers, locking them in the dungeon, they'd come back hours later to find them all dead. They'd carry poison with them, and it seemed they had no inclination to be interrogated. This is one of many instances of food is power being used in these chapters. There's a lot of variations on this. But just as a reminder, looking at this through the Marxist lens, information is also power. So for the soldiers to avoid handing that power over, the enemy soldiers ingest poison, and so they hold on to the power of information by dying.
So the cadre's leaving, everyone's leaving, and Aelin is becoming a bit more aware of the situation. And at first I was like, can we trust her? Is she an unreliable narrator? Quote, Rowan's cadre was leaving when she finally awoke, having lingered to help with repairs and healing. But it was only Gabriel who bothered to acknowledge her. It was the term bother to acknowledge her. Like, it's very, like, everyone else. I mean, obviously everyone else didn't acknowledge her, but there was just like that, I don't know, like demeaning way that she kind of interpreted it. And initially I was like, hey, unreliable narrator. But then I kept reading. I was like, oh, girl, you're spot on. Quote, only Gabriel had shown any inclination. She didn't blame his men. They didn't know her, owed her nothing. So it's like, yeah, like they do want nothing to do with her. And it upsets Rowan and his, so I get it. He's like, that's my bestie. Why aren't you guys talking to her? And she's the one who's actually taking on the quote unquote masculine role because she's like, I don't care. They're ruthless. I can understand being ruthless. And he's like, no, you're my friend. They have to talk to you. Aelin really thinks about the position that Rowan and his boy band are in. Quote, Celaena lingered, studying the Fae warrior and the glimmered sadness in his golden eyes. Like Rowan, he was enslaved to Maeve. So she's talking about Gabriel there, but she's thinking about all of them and that they're all enslaved to Maeve. And it's really been a shift in the narrative since the beginning where they were Maeve's men, her soldiers, her knights. And then, okay, they took a blood oath and now they're enslaved. And that's not me calling it out of being like, this is inconsistent. I actually think that's a great shift in Aelin understanding, oh, these men don't have a choice.
Yeah, I think that what we're going to see a lot in this episode shows the capacity for empathy that both Rowan and Aelin have grown into throughout the course of this book. And this is one of them for Aelin, right? The fact that she's able to identify, oh, this is equivalent to being enslaved, and I know what it is to be enslaved, and I know how awful that is. There is significance in my mind that Gabriel is the one to stay behind and the one who tries to get to know Aelin. Quote, Gavriel looked at her hand for a moment before shaking it with surprising gentleness. How old are you? He asked. 19, she said, and he loosed a breath that could have been sadness or relief, or maybe both, and told her that made her magic even more impressive. Now, this is a little spoilery without being spoilery. Out of all of them, I could see him being a dad, the one dad out of the group.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a nice reminder on SJM's part, even though she does counter it later. But Celaena's fucking young,
Yeah.
and this is a reminder of that fact.
Yeah, my note was, finally, someone's asking the serious questions that we need to be asking. I like the idea that he gives Rowan a look like, really? 19? 19?
Yeah.
That's what you're going for? Okay. I mean, and again, they're like 200 years old, so it's not even like you couldn't go for someone who's 75, you know?
Well, I keep saying he was 200, but I think it's his mate died more than 200 years ago.
So he's over 200 years old.
Yeah.
So he should be going for someone who's at least 90.
At least.
Everyone leaves. Rowan and Aelin go to chill out for a little bit. And, quote, Rowan brought her to a forest pool she'd never seen before, the clear water fed by a lovely waterfall that seemed to dance in the sunlight. He took a seat on a broad, flat, sun-warmed rock, pulling off his boots and rolling up his pants and dip his feet into the water. It's very cleansing of the sins. It's very biblical, Jesus washing feet if you're Catholic. You got confirmed, the priest washing your feet, which I was not prepared for, was very confused when it was happening. And it's a reminder that Celaena is their savior.
It's a great point. I also, if you've listened to, especially the ACOTAR season, the significance of the sun-warmed rock and the presence of the sun in this moment, I think, is a little breadcrumb.
Yep.
Now, Rowan's fear is starting to show. He has flip-flopped from who he was at the beginning of this book. Instead of criticizing Aelin for her inaction, we have a mirroring moment now where he is scared what her actions say and the attention that is drawn to her. Quote, there is no undoing what happened with Norak. Once the world hears that Aelin Galathynius fought against Otterlin, they will know you are alive. He will know you are alive and where you are, and that you do not plan to cower. He will hunt you for the rest of your life. Yeah, no shit, buddy. Like, that's what she's been saying for this entire book.
Also, you wanted her to be Aelin. She was going to be hunted no matter what.
Exactly. And that's what he didn't understand at the beginning of the book, right? He only saw her in action.
Yeah.
But his ability to empathize has now increased. And that is why we're seeing this mirroring moment from their first night interacting. Mm-hmm. He's grown.
He's grown. It's gone from like, shut up and be Aelin to, oh, there's consequences to this.
Exactly.
And that is, if I wish someone could like put a rainbow when I do this. Growth. Yep.
I will say the growth is because he cares about her. And sometimes we're critical of characters where we're like, we want you to grow because you want to grow, need to grow, not purely out of caring, instead of it just purely being motivated by another person, if that makes sense.
No, yes and no. So yes, I think what it is like, I want to see characters that grow from circumstances, but I don't want the circumstances being women dying for the sake of male protagonists growing. So it's like, no, I do want them to adapt to their surroundings. I don't think a book would be interesting if someone was like, I want to go to therapy now, But like, I want it to be for the right reasons of growing, not just, hey, let's kill off the women of color.
Right. And in this case, it feels like the right reasons because he's learned to not basically stop being a misogynist and stop being a humanist.
Yes.
Not a humanist, a racist, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's improvement.
I agree.
Now, Aelin wishes she could leave a part of herself with Rowan the way that she did for Chaol. She left the Eye of Elena with Chaol, and because she left that with Chaol, she's like, well, what about, quote, the amulet of Orinth? She would have offered him that if she hadn't lost it. Heirloom or no, she would rest easier if she knew it was protecting him.
That's intense to be willing to give him the amulet of Orinth, which was like her family, her symbol of Terrasen, the thing that her mother gave her. And she's willing to give it to Rowan. And it's totally different than when she gave the eye of Elena to Kale, because like Elena, distant relative. What
Yeah.
history is there? But this should speak volumes on how much she cares for Rowan, especially in contrast to Kale.
Yeah. I mean, she's willing to give up her family heirloom that has been
Yeah.
passed down through the generations of royalty in Tierson. Like, that's significant.
Mm-hmm.
Also, unknowingly at this point, it contains the Wyrdkey, which is, this is the moment she figures that out, which makes the idea of this being the gift she wants to give him even more meaningful in terms of power, right? She literally wants to gift him power. And yes, it's appropriate because they're Karanom, and he's also, Rowan is a fae of immense power, someone who could probably use the power for good, unlike a human who just needs protection.
Yep. I love how SJM wraps up this book and sets it up for the next book. Quote, this is Celaena. She had to hurry to Maeve, retrieve the information she needed, and go home. Not to Terrason, but to Rifthold. She had to face the man who had made her into a weapon, who had destroyed another part of her life, and who could prove to be the greatest threat. I mean, like, that is the... Who needs the summary at the back of a book when you have this?
Yeah.
And, I was kind of like, okay, how do I feel about coming to this conclusion, this moment, this summary? And this is such great setup for the next book. And at this point in the Kindle read, you're only at 87% of the book, and there's still more plot to plot. So
Mm-hmm.
again, I really appreciate that this is put here and not
Yeah.
the last sentence. I think
Yeah.
for me, in a style of writing, I find this to be a better, smoother journey to put it a little bit early and not the last sentence.
I completely agree, because otherwise the temptation of the reader, I think, is, well, why not just stay with Rowan, Aelin? Just, stick around a little longer.
Yeah.
Instead, there are multiple motivations going in to see Maeve, which kind of
Yeah.
raises the stakes.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I also, knowing what I know now about where Assassin's Blade falls. So my first read through, read Assassin's Blade after Heir of Fire because I thought that was the order. And I liked that at this point, I'm like, I've heard a lot about Arabin, but I don't know why he's a threat. And then I got to learn about the threat he was through
Mm-hmm.
Assassin's Blade. Now, knowing the correct order, this is still good because the reader who did it right and read Assassin's Blade before Heir of Fire knows the threat that
Mm-hmm.
Arabin is and goes into Queen of Shadow being like, oh, shit.
But even if you haven't read Assassin's Blade, it's such a great teaser because you're just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
who is this man who I'm throwing off. Scared of who he is. So whether you read it or hadn't read it, I think SGM does a good job of both planting like the threat that if you don't know who he is, / if you do
Mm-hmm.
know who he is, you're like, ooh, this is terrifying.
Yep, exactly. So it is at this moment that Aelin, or Celaena, because the book is still calling her Celaena, decides to give Rowan her full truth. Because, as I mentioned earlier, knowledge is power, and to provide the knowledge of her past is to give power to their relationship. And remember, this is the only relationship she's ever had that has ever received the full truth of who she is and what she's experienced.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, the truth of her, undiluted and complete. I have never told anyone this story. No one in the world knows it, but it's mine, she said, blinking past the burning in her eyes, and it's time for me to tell it. It shows the importance of Rowan's companionship to Aelin. It also shows her growth as an individual, that she's not shirking her past, she's not ignoring the past. And quite frankly, I think it continues to foreshadow the deepening of their bond that progresses throughout this story,
Absolutely.
or throughout the series.
Yeah. I need to read this famous quote. I have to. Once upon a time, she said to him, to the world, to herself, in a land long since burned to ash, there lived a young princess who loved her kingdom very much. I'm getting choked up. I was in Aroma doing my notes and I was crying.
I say this not to mock you.
No, that's not true.
I say this because this is my truth. I've always found this line a little cringe,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and I don't know why.
Because you have no soul.
I have no soul. We did establish that before we started recording.
Yeah. Actually, we kind of did. No,
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think you are someone who, if you hear it too many times, you get over it pretty quickly. And it's the
Yep.
same way that you're not a fan of in Mist and Fury to the stars, to the
Oh,
dreams,
yeah. Blech.
dreamers and the stars. Like, you
Yeah.
don't like that line.
Mm-mm.
But I think, that's my little contrary star over there who.
Yeah, but, like, I like the thing about, like, her name is Aelin Galathynius, and she will not be afraid. She would not be like, I love that. That
Yeah,
that
yeah,
gets me every time.
yeah.
So,
No, I mean, it's fair. It's fair. You don't have to force yourself.
I take comfort in it as a writer that anytime I write something that I'm like, "Ugh, that's so cringe," in my own story, someone's gonna like it. Maybe not everybody, but
But
someone.
someone. Yeah, yeah. So I want to get into this quote before Amy does. Quote, "They were quiet for some time, and she didn't know why she did it, but she held out a hand in front of her, palm facing the pool beneath, and slowly, wobbly, a droplet of water the size of a marble rose from the surface to her cupped palm." The fact that she's summoning her mother's magic right after telling her story, I feel like is not only bringing her closer to her mom, but is also accepting her fate, which is very much intertwined with her mom. And, we talked about her having very traumatic memories of her mom, like in the days leading up to their death. And there's a reason why she ends up being drawn to her mother to remember her mother's history, her names, her words, right, throughout the rest of the series. And that's because her mother was her drop of water to cool her fire.
Mm, I love that. I love that. One thing we haven't discussed related to her mother is I think maybe she gets her fayness from both lines, but she gets her fey royaltiness through her mother's line. And
Does she? It's her dad.
her mom is the Ash River.
Okay. It was her mom that her uncle was Orinth?
Let me rephrase. She
Yeah.
gets her fey royalty through her mother as an Ash
Mm.
River
Mhm,
because
mhm.
Mab is
Gotcha, yes.
who is Maeve's quote unquote Maeve's sister is her mother's grandmother
Yep, I'm on board.
or something to that effect. So, one thing we've never talked about is how early on Celaena's rejection of the Fae might also be
A rejection of her mom.
partially a rejection of her mother. So, as we've seen throughout the course of this book, Celaena starting to accept Aelin, starting to accept her Faenus, is also a journey of accepting her mother, which,
Mhm.
like you said, makes this moment so beautiful. Quote,
Yep.
she knew he understood what it meant to have summoned even a droplet to her hand, to feel her mother smiling at her from realms away. She grinned at Rowan through her tears and sent the droplet splashing into his face. Rowan tossed her into the pool. A moment later, laughing, he jumped in. I love this because, like you said, we've only known Aelin to have negative memories of her
Mhm.
mother, in which I don't think she ever sees her mother smile. So for her to have this level of peace is super, super important and meaningful for her.
Yeah, in order to have that peace, I think she kinda has to understand that her mom had to make hard choices in
Mhm.
regards to Aelin, and Aelin is now, as she's, accepting her queen title, is understanding, like, she was just trying to survive, and, Aelin is just trying to survive, and sometimes hard choices have to be made.
Yeah, and I think what this moment tells me is that Aelin wants to be as strong as her mother was,
Mm, mhm.
that she now sees strength in her mom and the choices that were made.
Yeah.
I think it's also relevant in this moment because Evelyn, quote unquote, stood up to Maeve, right? By rejecting Maeve's rule, by not submitting to her, by not letting Maeve see Aelin. I think that took strength. And I think Aelin wants to summon that strength on her journey to go see Maeve.
Yep.
There's also like this moment between Rowan and Aelin, the playfulness. I think after telling her story, for this playfulness to unfold demonstrates like Aelin has unburdened herself and Rowan has accepted her because it's very lighthearted. It's almost childlike and innocent of just
Yeah.
like a moment of joy despite all the terrible things that she probably revealed about her life.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, before they go and take off on their adventure to Maeve, Aelin gets a little glimpse of herself in the mirror. Quote, "She was now flushed with color, her eyes bright and clear, and though she regained the weight she'd lost that winter, her face was leaner. A woman. A woman was smiling back at her, beautiful for every scar and imperfection and mark of survival. Beautiful for the fact that the smile was real, and she felt it kindle the long slumbering joy in her heart." Now, this is beautiful. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, this is her looking at herself and saying, like, I have grown.
Mm-hmm.
I see myself. I am a different person. I have changed. It is also SJM aging her up because we just got the little reminder that she is only 19 years old. And so, of course, she kind of has to add this moment, like where Aelin looks at herself and goes, I am a woman. I am grown.
I completely agree with you. I also think that it's a very 19-year-old thing to do. Like,
Yeah.
especially in our day and age, once you get out of high school, you're like, yes, I'm an adult. Look at me. I am a woman. There's still a lot of women left to grow into.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that this mark of like, I have transitioned because she is transitioning.
Yeah. I remember the first time I had sex, the next day I was like, do I look different? Am I different? I am a woman now. Let's take a sip.
Yeah.
We're in chapter 58. And before we start, because this is going to be in Aedian's point of view, I have some notes on Aedian as a character. This is not Aedian as a character that I am commenting on. This is the writing that I am commenting on. And this is the trickiness of having multiple point of views. Characters need to have an arc. Who they are at the beginning should not be who they are at the end. Kale has an arc. Dorian has an arc. Sorsha even has an arc. And you can see how they change. That is the arc. Aedian has only changed. His plot line has only changed, right? He's gone from I don't have hope to now I have hope to see Aelin. But that's not really a character development. That's the plot happened, right? He knows that Aelin is alive. He knows about the Wyrdkeys. There's more to him. I'm not saying that he's not going to be a developed character. I'm just saying that it's hard when you have so many point of views to try to carry out and make every character have their own special arc.
Yeah, my note. Damn, that's harsh. This is actually where I started my notes. And I was like, oh shit, I skipped chapter 57. I got to go back.
That's funny.
I do think you're right. I think if he has an arc, it is the least developed arc out of all the characters in this novel. But I think there is something to be said of him being very comfortable being the Northern Wolf and being Adderlin's whore to the end, not to really struggling with that, to really struggling with his identity. It's not fully developed. It's not a true arc, but
there's hints of it there.
Right. He has an identity crisis, essentially, is what happens throughout the course of this.
This does great setup for him.
Yeah.
It's not without nothing. You know what I mean? Like, it shows great setup. It shows that he is complex, that he has depth, that there's layers to him 100%. This is just my little writing device note for any aspiring writers out there of be aware when you have too many POVs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Because it's not like we're worried about Ren having a development, No,
he's so minor. Not at all. Now, this is all before everyone learns about Aelin being back. And Aedian feels pretty high and mighty talking to Ren and Kale right now. He's in charge. He has a plan. He's eating an apple because food is power. Quote, "You are fleeing," Aedian drawled, biting into one of the apples he'd picked up at the market for Ren and the old man. This is such a small moment, but I call it out because things spiral so quickly for Aedian and Kale. And this is the before Aelin, and then the after Aelin, a lot of Aedian's power gets taken away. And so I just wanted to call that out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's eating the apple that he bought for Ren and the old man. I giveth food, I taketh your food. And apple is normally a lot of times a representation of truth because it's like the apple of truth in Adam and Eve, which makes sense because we're about to get some truths spilled upon the characters here. that they then find out that Aelin's back. She fought, she used her power, and she won. Quote, "It was a message to the world. Aelin was a warrior, able to fight with blade or magic, and she was done with hiding. Aelin has lost her identity.
Mm.
She is a symbol of power and change." That is not a bad thing. That is inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
That is like the way that Rowan kind of hero worships her a little bit.
Yeah.
And the way that everyone else is going to hero worship her. Now, I'm not saying that Rowan's going to hero worship her the whole time. He's like, you're just so cool. You know what I mean? But when you're stepping into this role, you're stepping into this loss of self.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to see that multiple times between Adian's interpretation of what's happened, Chaol's interpretation, and Dorian's interpretation. And they're all so one-sided because they have no context of what really occurred. Aelin did not face Norok thinking, I'm sending a message to the world.
No, she was ready to die.
She was ready to die. It was about survival. That is not how these men are going to interpret it.
Mm-mm.
And it's very, very interesting. And I think an intentional commentary on SJM's part about the assumptions that these men are making about Aelin and her role. Granted, Aelin knew she was always a symbol of hope. She knew by revealing herself that people would put that pressure on her. That's why she avoided it for so long. So it's not like this is untrue. It's just that that was not Aelin's conscious decision or why she did what she did.
Yep.
Now, as much as Aelin's appearance and news of her is a symbol of hope, it is also an unmasking that throws everything else into disarray. And we see that in Adian's thought process. Quote, "The moment he entered the palace, he would have to consider his every step, every breath. Too many eyes would be on him now. By revealing herself, Adian's own disguise is threatened, and now he has to be on the defensive in a way that he hasn't been in a long time. And a lot of things, in my personal opinion, are going to play out in such a way that I think if Aelin had not defeated Norok and the world didn't know about her, I honestly think that the events that happened to Chaol, Dorian,
Wouldn't have
Adian,
happened.
Sorsha wouldn't have happened.
Agreed.
Even the environment around them foreshadows the chaos to come. Quote, "Brisk night air poured in, bringing with it the ruckus from the city. Aelin had done this, caused this clamor of sound." Now, in this moment, it feels like a joyous thing, like Adian is in awe. It's not going to be good for that long.
No.
Sorry, Adian.
Talk about ego, though. I mean, Celaena does the same thing, but like the fact that Adian was like, I can go back and pretend, where it's like, I don't think you had an opportunity to run, my man.
Yeah, you should have taken it.
Yeah, but then Celaena does the same thing where she was like, no one's going to question Celaena. They won't know that it's me. Yeah. So old man is about to go, Morok or whatever his name is. Murtaugh. He's about to go spread word. He was like, I got to tell everyone. And then Chaol gives him some advice. Quote, "Send word to Eelway. Tell them to hold on. Tell them to prepare. Perhaps it was the light. Perhaps it was the cold. But Adian could have sworn there were tears in the captain's eyes as he said, tell them it's time to fight back." I'm going to read, someone like left a comment on a comment. So we posted a video and then someone just about Chaol, and then someone said something being like, oh, he's the only human, like kind of like, he's flawed. He's a man, type of thing. And then someone left this comment underneath them. There are other human characters. For example, Nesrin, names I can't pronounce, and fuck SJM for making them. Sam, normal. None of them are raging a-holes and racist. And before you say that he grew up in a society that's racist towards Fae, Norian, Nesrin, Urine, and others did as well. But none of them did a 180 as soon as they realized Celaena wasn't human. And she was the same girl as she'd been an hour before, but he treated her with disgust and distrust when he found out. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I've heard this before. I don't think that person was our listener. It was just someone. And it was just like, and then the original commenter goes, damn, say your opinion. That was funny. But like people do give a lot of shit to Chaol for not immediately being on board to Aelin. I do want to point out, compared to Dorian, compared to Irene and Ness, I don't know, other characters. Chaol didn't get to think about it first. It went from this is Celaena to she has fire magic and teeth poking out and she's Fae, and he saw her in absolute full Fae form.
Yeah.
There wasn't easing into this. It was like, and he saw her at her power, which is terrifying. I'm not saying that this isn't like, that he shouldn't be better. And everyone keeps saying like they can't wait for our analysis of Queen of Shadow because they're like, just wait till Chaol gets shitty. And I'm totally excited to do that. It's just amazing that you can very easily pinpoint this from a place of jealousy, from insecurity, from a lot of things. And again, it doesn't necessarily make it better, but it makes him a better character for me to read and analyze and honestly have more sympathy towards.
Yeah, I have a lot of empathy towards Chaol because everybody else got to learn about Aelin and who she was without facing a traumatic experience, almost dying, without being nearly eaten by a vicious beast, by not having to witness her wildfire, right? And that was just the Fae aspect of her.
Yeah.
And then Chaol has the burden of revealing her identity to everybody else. It is a burden. I mean, if Celaena had taken the time to reveal herself to Chaol, I think this would have turned out pretty differently.
Yeah.
But I think there are a lot of negative circumstances around how it went about that I don't blame Chaol for being shitty about it because he loved her.
It was a shitty way to learn.
It was a shitty way to learn.
Yeah, and I don't think he would have completely been like, okay, we're going to be back together forever.
Right.
Like, he does come to accept that there's a bloodlust and, I think bloodlust is a, dramatic term that he uses. But there is a bloody side to Aelin that he can't get on board with. And that is okay. And it is his right to say, that is not for me.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
If I'm allowed to say that someone is a raver, because that guy I went out with in November, he was like, I rave. And I'm like, I'm in bed by 10.
Yeah.
We live two different lifestyles. This is why when you dip dating a little bit younger, I was like, oh, we are in two different places, and sometimes it's okay to say that I don't want a raver.
Yeah, that's okay.
I don't want to go take a bunch of drugs on the weekend. I get up early to go to the gym.
Moving on. I wanted to point out just a fun little writing touch on SJM's part. After the scene from Aedian's point of view ends, the next scene starts with the line, Murtaugh, Allsbrook, and his writers spread the news about Aelin like wildfire. It's just, SJM knows what she's doing because Aelin's magic is wildfire. News about Aelin spreads like wildfire. It's very intentional. I thought it was cute.
I love it. So now we're in Dorian's perspective, and we get his thoughts on Aelin revealing herself. Quote, Dorian might have found it funny, so typically Celaena, to make such a flamboyant return, had he not been utterly petrified. She had drawn a line in the sand. Worse than that, she defeated one of the king's deadliest generals. So how well does Dorian know her? And I think there was a story that SJM plays out in this book that is meant to show us that Dorian only understands part of moments, and it's not his fault. Like, I'm not blaming him for this. So let's remember that his interpretation of a childhood memory, when Dorian accidentally spills tea on her and he looks back at it going, oh, she threatened to kill me. What a dramatic. All she did was care about her pretty dresses, right? And we find out from Aelin's point of view that she actually forced herself. She was really sad and scared and didn't really feel anything. And it's just another moment that it's a reminder for the reader that Dorian doesn't have the full story and understanding of Aelin. Not his fault.
No, it's not, because his interpretation of Aelin is the mask Celaena showed him.
Yeah.
Right?
So, of course, sorry, I go ahead, keep going. I realized I didn't say my last point. I just was talking.
No, go ahead.
My last point was that Celaena didn't go into that battle being flashy.
Mhm.
And it's going back to like what we were saying earlier, where all these guys are like, oh my God, she came in, guns a-blazing. She went in ready to die, and she went in using everything she had to save people. That's not flashy.
Yeah. And I think there is part of SJM's commentary is even noble acts can be
Yeah.
misinterpreted.
Yep.
Like what Celaena was doing was noble. She was
Mhm.
fighting for other people's lives. And yet, that's not what
Yep.
people see here.
Yep.
So, to continue on Jac's point, here's another moment of misinterpretation on Dorian's side. Quote, somewhere in Wendlyn, his friend was changing the world. She was fulfilling the promise she'd made to him. She had not forgotten him or any of them still there. So, Dorian is in this moment literally interpreting Celaena's actions of killing Norok and using her fire as a message to him,
Mhm.
not thinking maybe that was out of necessity. Maybe something was going on.
Aelin specifically had moments where she goes, damn, I haven't thought about Dorian in a while. I hope he's okay.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Like, it's hilarious. She was like, huh, that was interesting. Forgot about him. I hope he's doing
Yeah.
great.
In some ways, this demonstrates, we've talked a lot about how selfish Dorian is, and he's growing, but he's not perfect. And for him to interpret what Celaena or Aelin has done to be about him does demonstrate he still has some of that selfishness in him. Granted, I know he's looking for a sign of hope, right? He's worried about himself. He's worried about Sorsha. He wants to escape his father. I understand all these things. I can't not point out the way that these men are interpreting a woman's actions
Mm-hmm.
to be about messages for them.
Absolutely. I mean, but ultimately it comes also down to their own insecurities, right? Like with
Mhm.
Dorian, his insecurity is not being able to do anything,
Yeah.
that he is weak. So it ends up being he's happy and excited for Celaena because she's a show of strength, but that's also his own insecurity of not being strength
I love that.
incarnate. Yeah.
And I think that is portrayed in the next quote I'm going to read because Dorian wants to reciprocate Aelin's message. Quote, and perhaps when they figured out a way to destroy that tower and free magic from his father's yoke, she would know her friends had not forgotten her either, that he had not forgotten her. I actually really love this line.
Yeah.
I do find it very moving that Dorian is so committed to Aelin and what she represents and what she will achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like Dorian is emboldened. He is made stronger because of Aelin's strength. And it's just, SJM is doing such a good job building up these characters with hope just to take it all away.
Yeah.
And it makes that future hurt so much more devastating.
It's great.
That is what makes this book great.
Yes.
Now, before we get to the part where things hurt, though, Dorian finds comfort in his disguise because he is able at this point to continue to wear that disguise in his father's court. But like Adian, it will be taken away. He, quote, kept on his well-worn mask, offered banal suggestions about what to do regarding Aelin, and pretended. One last time. When Celaena got back, when she returned as she'd sworn she would, then they would set about changing the world together.
He's still calling her Celaena.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how much can you be accepting someone's true identity when you're still calling her Celaena? I get it, though. I mean, people will be like, how is he supposed to change it when that's all he's ever known her by? Yeah, that's fair. But, symbolism.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Take a sip. Okay. We're in chapter 59 now, and we are with Aelin and with Rowan, and they're on their way to Maeve, and Rowan's not handling it well, which no one would, to be honest. Quote, he'd fallen silent in the past day, not rude, but quiet and vague, as if he were rebuilding the wall between them. This morning, she'd awoken in their hilltop camp to find him staring at the sunrise, looking for all the world as if he'd been having a conversation with it. It's beautiful writing. And we do know that, like, he was praying, and to the fire goddess, and she is fire. And, it's just sweet.
It is sweet. Now, as Aelin and Rowan enter Doranelle and enter the city where Maeve's fortress is, or her castle, we have another food is power moment, but this time it's kind of mocking, which I really enjoyed. Quote, "The winding, elegant streets were now full of musicians and dancing and vendors selling hot food and drinks. There had been plenty of that in Otterlin, but here there was no empire weighing on them, no darkness or cold or despair. Maeve had not sent aid 10 years ago, and while the Fae danced and drank mulled cider, Celaena's people had been butchered and burned. She knew it wasn't their fault, but as she headed across the city toward the northern edge by the waterfall, she couldn't bring herself to smile at the merriment." I like this moment because at first you think she's marveling at the joy because Maeve is such a, creepy queen. Why
Hmm.
are they all joyous? And then it turns into, well, are they complicit because they were partying while Maeve neglected Terrasen? And I just
Yeah.
love that moment. And honestly, this moment feels like these fae are dancing on the graves of the Terrasen people.
Oh, absolutely. I love that visual. I mean, I think a fair question, and I don't believe this, is Maeve a good ruler because her people are happy and safe?
Exactly. And I think that's what this moment is also supposed to make us
Hmm.
wonder. Like, is Rowan's trepidation with Maeve, is Aelin's fear of Maeve warranted if the people under her are so happy?
And we know Maeve sucks. So,
Right.
we know that Maeve sucks. Aelin knows Maeve sucks. Maeve didn't send help when Terrasen needed it. There are so many reasons as to why she sucks. I love the contradiction that you have a bad ruler, a bad queen, and such happy, peaceful people,
Yep.
because it would be very easy to make her even more of a bad guy and have people starving in the streets and she's stealing money, and
Hmm.
or you can make her like an absolute ultimate evil. This adds another layer of complexity, which
Yep.
I enjoy.
I do too. I do too. Now, all of this does emphasize Celaena's guilt for being 19 and just trying to survive for the last 10 years. Quote, "She reminded herself that she had danced and drunk and done whatever she pleased while her own people had suffered for 10 years too. She was in no position to resent the Fae or anyone except the queen who ruled over this city." This moment, again, is supposed to help us understand that there is still significant cognitive dissonance
Mhm.
within Celaena. She's acting as if she was not a child for the last 10 years, as if she was not powerless, as if she was not learning to be an assassin. She didn't have the skills 5 years ago to do anything.
Or as if it was she doesn't have permission to find moments of joy.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? As a reader, being on the outside, we can look at her and say, "Baby girl, you did not have a peaceful time. You had a horrible,
Hmm.
traumatic upbringing after her family and land was destroyed, right? So the fact that you were able to even dance, able
Yeah.
to have fun in these moments in between these things, that's incredible." And of course, though, she wouldn't look at it like that. She's trying to look at it in a, I would say, quote unquote, reasonable way. I think it is good to try to humble ourselves sometimes rather than coming in being like, "I hate all these innocent people." I think it's good that she's trying to be like, "I cannot judge."
Yeah.
But to save judgment of herself, it's like, you are allowed to feel joy
Yeah.
even when your land and your family have been destroyed.
Yeah. Again, and I'm not criticizing Aelin. There's something of
No.
a martyr in her, right? She has the attitude of a martyr. And like you said, Jack, she feels guilt that she has ever experienced joy. And that's just sad. It's
Yeah.
just sad.
And as a writer, that ends up being SJM's North Star of one deciding what kind of choices does Celaena Aelin make, right? Is
Right.
knowing that she'll sacrifice herself for others. So it's not a criticism of her character. It's identifying a characteristic and saying, this is who she is, her choices going forward.
All hinge on this.
Yeah. And it should be aligned. So if there was ever a moment where she truly went out of character, which I don't think there ever is. That's the moment when you kind of say, okay, like what are we missing? What are we missing here? But yeah,
Yep.
I think this is a good moment to characterize her. And I love as Aelin is going into this meeting with Maeve, she is kind of trying to pep talk herself, right? Quote,
Mhm.
she was as much a queen as Maeve. She was the sovereign of a strong people and a mighty kingdom. She was the heir of fire and ash. And she would bow to no one. It's beautiful, right? Because a mighty kingdom that's fallen, strong people who have been hurt and
Slain.
waiting and, like enslaved. But this is her knowing their true identity, right?
Mhm.
Yes, Terrasen might have been burned. Yes, her people have been enslaved, but they are strong and they are mighty. And it's also a reminder to Aelin of her own identity, because if her people are strong and if her kingdom's mighty, then damn it, so is she.
Yeah. And I love this because this is not at all like Celaena when Celaena met the King of Adarlan for the
Hmm.
first time or the second time. There was so much terror in her, and this demonstrates how far she's come since that moment. I know it's Maeve and not the King of Adarlan, but it makes us excited to see who Aelin is when she next encounters the King of Adarlan.
Yeah. So they show up, Aelin and Rowan, to Maeve and, quote, she wished Rowan had let her freshen up in his suite, but she supposed that wasn't what this meeting was about anyway. I love it. It's a throwback to the first time Rowan brought Aelin to Maeve. It mimics that. And I think it's to try to show Maeve, like, no, I don't care for her. Like, she's still dirty. Look at that. I don't want her comfortable. He's just trying to
Play it off.
create some kind of distance, so that it doesn't make the moment more dangerous than it already is.
I didn't even catch that. That is such a good point. Now, at this point, Rowan is forced to bow in front of Maeve because Maeve is his queen, but Celaena does not. And Maeve doesn't let Rowan up. Quote, she left her nephew kneeling as she turned her violet starry eyes to Celaena and gave her that spider smile. It's just a power move. Like, he
Yeah.
doesn't even ask to get up.
Mm-hmm.
He's just there until her whim has decided otherwise. I appreciate it.
I do too.
I firmly believe in new year, new me, and that requires a wardrobe change.
It's actually cold in California. I am so excited because Quince has all of our staples covered. From soft Mongolian cashmere sweaters that feel like designer pieces without the markup, to 100% silk tops and skirts for easy dressing up, to perfectly cut denims for everyday wear.
I purposefully gave my partner my wool coat so I can get a Quince Italian wool coat because they are gorgeous. They're beautifully tailored, they're soft to the touch, and they're built to last years, not just one season.
That's because the quality shows in every detail. You can seriously tell with the stitch, with the fit, with the fabric. Every piece is thoughtfully designed.
Like everything from Quince, each piece is made with premium materials in ethical, trusted factories, which I love. Each piece is priced far below the cost of other luxury brands.
Refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Don't wait. Go to quince.com/booktalk for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada.
That's QUINCE.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, to get free shipping and 365 days returns.
Amy, you know how I've been going to the gym now 5 to 6 times a week?
You are in your beast era.
I really am. I now start every day with AG1. And I'm telling you, I feel great.
And now is the time more than ever to be proactive about supporting your health.
Especially when you're traveling over the holidays, or honestly, the most germ-filled moment, large family gatherings. I know my family. It makes me feel more confident knowing that my immune system is getting the daily support it needs.
While everyone else at work has been getting sick, I've been taking my AG1 Next Gen, which contains more vitamins and minerals than ever before and is clinically shown to fill common nutrient gaps. And honestly, I enjoy the taste.
They taste so good. I don't know how they do that. Their flavors include original, citrus, berry, and tropical. What's been your favorite?
I've actually been doing the original pineapple and vanilla flavor.
You know I love citrus. I love their citrus.
AG1 has their best offer ever. If you head to drinkag1.com/booktalk, you'll get the welcome kit, a morning person hat, a bottle of vitamin D3 plus K2, an AG1 flavor sampler, and you'll get to try their new sleep supplement, AGZ, for free, which has been a game changer for my nightly routine.
That's drinkag1.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, for $126 in free gifts for new subscribers. Later on, Celaena is going to describe Maeve as having a quote, an adder smile. And right now she's saying that she has a spider smile. And if we were ever wondering that maybe Aelin is wrong about Maeve's true character, we're not. Like, these little tiny things are for really to drill into us, the reader, of like, nope, Maeve's bad. Let's not give her a little inch here.
Yep, exactly. Now, as part of their bargain, Maeve begins to describe what the Wyrdkeys were, what they were like when she had them. Quote, "But they were not stone. They were like nothing on this earth in any realm. It was like holding the living flesh of a god, like containing the breath of every being in every realm all at once. It was madness and joy and terror and despair and eternity." It's a really cool description of what ultimate power must feel like. It's also a breadcrumb, the fact that she's talking about other realms.
Yeah. Yep.
Because how would she know?
Yep.
Moving on from that, Maeve continues to describe the terrific or terror-inducing power of the Velg and what they could accomplish with the Wyrdkeys if they had one or even all three. And I like that food as a form of power is brought in again to emphasize the might of their dead army and their ability to infuse other Velg into dead humans. Quote, "An army that does not need to eat or sleep or breathe, an army that will sweep like a plague across your continent and others, maybe other worlds too." In this quote, food and the need to eat is humanizing. It's a symbol of weakness, especially when food is a finite resource. So I appreciate what SJM is doing. We're getting a lot of lore, and it could be very bogged down, but I think she does a good job keeping it interesting.
SJM kills it with these last chapters.
Yeah.
I mean, part 2 has been a phenomenal book. And, it's just the setup that we all had issues with. SJM's talented. This is us kind of being like, you guys, we knew it was going to come to be good because she's talented. And that's just the journey. Anyway, so Aelin is starting to freak out because she's just kind of like, oh my God, what am I doing here? But, quote, "A calming warmth wrapped around her as if someone had pulled her into an embrace. Feminine, joyous, infinitely powerful. This doom has not yet come to pass," it seemed to whisper in her ear. "There is still time. Do not succumb to fear yet." I love that the power is feminine. I love that we are finding power in her mother, in a goddess, and in Lena, and that there's been such an intense shift to the power of femininity here. Yeah. Okay.
No, I thought I had something to say, and all I can say is
all you can say is, yeah. So I just want to point out some other good writing and some advice to writers. So very briefly, Celaena notices, quote, "Stone and not a sign of wood, save for the plants and furniture." So this is really well done. And recently read a book where it was like they thought they were leaving clues, but in actuality, they were like, it was just so chunky and bad and it was rough. But what is it that makes this good? Because Celaena, or again, Aelin, going back and forth, she's having all these other thoughts and there's a break in the conversation and she notices things. So why is it that this moment is good while other books might do the same thing and the execution feels rough? I personally think it's the use of grammar. And that is the fact you have stone M dash, not a sign of wood, save for plants and furniture. ellipses, ... You can hear that being said as her thought. Stones, not a sign of wood, save for the plants and furniture. You know what I mean? And it just sounds natural. And so I just want to like give props where props is due and advice for writers also.
Yeah, and what I like about it is it's leaving a clue without spelling it out for the reader, right? Of,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I can work with that. Oh, she's trying to protect against my fire. None of that is said,
Yeah.
right?
But it also is random because she's not thinking about stone and everything else. Like it truly comes out of nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't feel like a giant clue being waved in your face.
Yeah. Yeah. It's more like how someone would in a new environment. You are noticing things about the environment while you're engaged in conversation because it's foreign to you.
Yep.
And as a warrior, she wants to know what she's up against.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at this point, Maeve has realized Aelin possibly knows something about a third word key, and Aelin denies it. So Maeve instead forces Rowan to reveal the information that he knows about whether or not Aelin has figured out the third word key. So when he does, when he's forced to reveal this information, quote, there was a glimmer of horror in his eyes, and his fists were trembling, as if some invisible force had compelled him to say it. This is possibly the weakest we've ever seen Rowan up until this point, and the most horrified. What I like about this is it's showing how Maeve has already figured out that they are each other's greatest weaknesses. Now, obviously, she knows more than we're supposed to know at this point, but I like how the narrative is giving us these clues as well. Quote, at the sight of the iron-tipped whip each bore, Celaena forgot to breathe. Until she answers me, Maeve said, as if she had just ordered a cup of tea. So this is when Rowan is starting to be whipped by his cadre so that Celaena will give information about the word key. It's another use of food as power, that the punishment and brutality are as regular and commonplace as tea and
Mm-hmm.
something easily served by those around her. It also makes Maeve seem very regal and queenly. Like
Yeah.
immediately I'm like, Queen of England? Okay. But I just appreciate the lack of care on Maeve's part
Yeah.
and how that's demonstrated through the narrative.
Yep. Take a sip.
Yeah. All right. We are moving into chapter 60. And Aelin has unleashed her wildfire on Maeve's city and threatens to kill everyone if Maeve does not have Rowan released. Now, since hurting Rowan has not made Aelin cave in to Maeve, Maeve is going to play on Aelin's other insecurities and her guilt. Quote, would you murder innocents, Aelin? Perhaps. You did it for years, didn't you? Aelin is being forced to acknowledge that she's, quote unquote, acting like a monster and accessing what Celaena has viewed as basically her monster ability because she's Fae and that makes her a monster. She would normally, if this were the start of the book, be very vulnerable to this jab from Maeve, but Aelin has grown, so she takes
Mm-hmm.
it in stride. And that's a nice way of demonstrating, an easy way to demonstrate growth on her part. This is when Aelin realizes, quote, the power wasn't in might or skill. It was in the control. The power lay in controlling herself. And, you know, our girl has grown up and she observed herself as a woman, but now we see in her action the outcome of that growth because there was no ounce of control in her
No.
before.
No. Aelin understands what's happening and the fact that she needs to put on a show and she needs to fit a queen persona that is able to match Maeve. Quote, what would happen when Brannon's blood mixed with Mab's line? Celaena opened her arms wide, Goldrun burning bright in one hand. Behold my power, Maeve. Behold what I grapple with in the deep dark, what prowls under my skin. So dramatic, like, but,
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about making again, this isn't even the kind of dramatic that Dorian was thinking of. This isn't flashy. This is a ruler knowing she needs to bring the fire when it comes to going against Maeve. And the
Yep.
arms open, again, it reminds me of this idea that she's the bringer of justice. We saw that happen already when she fought the Vowed Princes. And again, like she doesn't have that scepter and orb, but she has her sword in one hand, and we can only imagine. I mean, she doesn't say fire in the other hand, but like it's open, it's wide, it's giving, it's just giving. I was gonna say Throne of Glass, but I can't remember what episode, but I remember like Jon Snow just being like, "Come at me." Oh no, it was also the one
You
of
mean
the
Game of
white.
Thrones?
Yeah, Game of Thrones. Did I say Throne of Glass?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, oops. It reminds me of Throne of Glass in this scene. So Celaena also comes into a more mature realization. Quote, she understood now what her mother had meant when she had patted her heart that night. She'd given her the amulet. Again, I'm coming back to this idea that her mother is healing, not her father, not her uncle. Her mother specifically is healing. Her mother, like I said, is her drop of water, is the thing that calms her.
And is this redundant? And I think water magic is literally associated with healing magic.
I don't remember, and that's awesome.
I think so. I think that's why it's significant that Aelin wanted to be a healer, but she didn't have sufficient magic.
Okay.
I think. I can't remember quite.
It works. We'll make it. So I really enjoy the vision that Aelin shares to Maeve. It's a little details that make me feel that it's like meant to make the reader feel excited, but also not at ease. Quote, steel gauntlets armed with hidden blades were as ornate as they were deadly. Again, so at first we're like, ooh, yay, this is just like, this is so her, right? She's ornate, she's deadly. But then it transitions to this. Quote, she raised her arms, tipping back her head to the sunlight, and their cries made the entirety of the White Palace tremble. On her brow, a mark, the sacred mark of Brandon's line, glowed blue. She smiled at the crowd and her people, at her world so ripe for the taking. I think, I mean, maybe as a reader, we're like, fuck yeah, take it. Take that world, right? But we're not meant to feel completely at ease. That's not the Celaena Aelin we know. Aelin is not someone who would be like, I'm going to take this world that's ripe for the taking. And this is not like a full tyrant, you know, and that's, again, the subtlety of the unease about it. It's not like the vision is coming in and she's now enslaving Fae. It's Aelin who's not doing anything particularly bad, but we, the reader, know she's a bit of a martyr. We know she has the savior complex. This is not her.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I always forget this moment is supposed to be bad. I'm always like, yeah, go for it, Aelin. And it's the last two clauses, at her world, so ripe for the taking.
Yeah.
That is King of Otterland through and through, right? And it's easy to miss. It's easy to think, yeah, Aelin could slip into this. But at her core, that's not her.
But it's so subtle enough that if she wanted to, she could. Like, we all have that inside us, that if we wanted to be a little worse, we could. Can I go become a full serial killer? No. But can I become a worse version of myself if I didn't try? Yes.
Yeah.
And this vision was meant as a, quote, warning of what she might become if she did indeed find the keys and keep them. Because this isn't part of the quote, this is me. Ultimate power corrupts ultimately. And that is just a nice reminder of this.
It is a very nice reminder. Now, Aelin is desperate to free Rowan. She's been thinking about it for a while, and everything about this interaction serves that purpose. Quote, all of it for him, for Rowan, who had known exactly what sword he was picking up that day in the mountain cave, who had thrown it to her across the ice as a future bargaining chip, the only protection he could offer her against Maeve if she was smart enough to figure it out.
I see your note and I kind of agree now. But initially I was like, okay, look, this is, it's a good gotcha moment. And you're about to say something and I want to say something immediately after.
Okay. So my note in response to Jac's original note was, I disagree. I think this could have been such an amazing payoff had there been more clues that Rowan did do this intentionally, that this was his intention all along. To me, there weren't enough clues, and that this is SJM forcing information that wasn't brought up before. And
Yeah.
quite frankly, it's just convenient.
It could have been Rowan being the one asking Emery to tell stories about Maeve.
Right, exactly.
Like, I think that would have been a really good clue where he's kind of trying to get Aelin to learn more about Maeve in subtle ways. Also, it was part 1 of the book. She was a different writer then. It was a different book.
I mean, I guess, there is one time when Aelin is asking questions about Maeve that she remarks, "I'm surprised Rowan doesn't stop me or doesn't contradict anything." Maybe that was meant to be a clue, but it wasn't enough of a clue.
I
Because
agree.
for me, it was more about how Rowan is not loyal to Maeve.
Agreed. So it's then implied that Aelin has been working on a plan of freeing Rowan since the moment she got the ring. Quote, "Such a gamble. So many weeks of scheming and planning and secretly hoping." Personal preference. This is me as my own personal writer. But when you have Aelin who says things like, "I was going to go fight the Valak princes and I wasn't planning on coming out alive," you can't necessarily contradict it with this. Now, I think it's true she was planning. I think she was planning on it the second she got the ring. Maybe some slight sentence restructuring, some workarounds. This is me being nitpicky, but this is not me being nitpicky. This is me being a writer observing things that I, as a writer, would like to not mimic.
Right. Now, I was thinking through your points when I was writing my notes, and I was like, well, it's been a week since the battle, and it does hint before the battle that Aelin's thinking about how she wants to free him and doesn't want to leave him behind. But you're right. Ultimately, she gives up on freeing him when she goes faces the Valgs because she accepts death.
She's not like, "Hey, I got something underneath my butt. I got something underneath the bed. Go check it out."
Yeah, well, and I think what this does is it re-emphasizes her characterization when you stop to think about it, because ultimately, Aelin has shown us there are certain things worth doing that will sacrifice Rowan's freedom.
But will save him.
Yeah, that will save him.
Save him and everyone else.
Right. At the end of the day, Rowan's freedom was not more important than preserving lives.
Yep.
And so it just shows us what Aelin's hierarchy is in terms of, morals.
I love that. That's such a good point. Aelin then frees Rowan, and he's a happy bird. Quote, "Aelin," he murmured, "it wasn't a reprimand." Stop it! That was a good one.
Aelin. It sounds like he was like ejaculating or something.
He's yearning. He is yearning, okay? Ejaculating Rowan, be like, "Aelin." Guys make the dumbest noises. Anyway.
I've not had to listen to it, so I don't know.
Yeah, not that I have either. So, okay. "Aelin," he murmured, "it wasn't a reprimand or a thank you, but a prayer." "Aelin," he whispered again, grinning, and kissed her brow before he dropped to both his knees before her. I love it because it's so close to the vision that she just had. He is worshiping her for a damn good reason. She just saved him.
Right.
But we're already playing with this idea of hero worship, of her being able to take things that are right for the taking, right? And it's great. It's wonderful. And I think it's meant to be like, hey, she is very easily not far away from that future we were warned about.
Yeah. Which explains why Maeve is so put off, too, by all of it.
What I appreciate with this whole ending, with the ending of this book, is that Aelin really is the one to have saved herself and being the only one who could save her. And that's not just from the sadness of Nehemia. I'm talking about through her whole trauma. Quote, "She could trust the prince, and more than that, more than anything, she could trust herself. And that's on self-healing."
Yeah. I love it. Now, there's this powerful moment while they're performing the blood oath that Rowan drinks from Aelin to complete the whole ritual. And when I read this, it was after I'd finished Brimstone. So I'm like, oh, it felt very Brimstone to me. But, Whatever. Quote, for a heartbeat, something lightning bright snapped through her and then settled, a thread binding them, tighter and tighter with each pull Rowan took of her blood. 3 mouthfuls, his canines pricking against her skin, and then he lifted his head, his lips shining with her blood, his eyes glittering and alive and full of steel. This is a beautiful, again, mirroring moment. So many times at the start of this novel, Celaena observed that Rowan's eyes were dead. Like he had this dead look about him, but now he is alive, they are glittering and full of steel because he is now her weapon, not Maeve's weapon.
Nope. Rowan and Aelin get the hell out of there. They go to an inn. They chill out. It's absolutely not chill. Quote, she bathed while he readied what he needed, and she scrubbed herself with coarse salt in the tiny inn bathroom until her skin gleamed. She is preparing her body. She is preparing for her sins to be cleansed, and not just cleansed, but memorialized and honored. And again, they're not her sins. It's the loss. Like you can't view people dying around you as your sins. So it's not a matter of washing her sins anymore. It's about preparing herself to honor those who have died.
Yeah. What's interesting about this description is I don't think it's her cleansing herself has been as aggressive as this since she left Endovier. And the first time she was bathed when she got to Rifthold. So it's an interesting kind of like bookmarking of Celaena's journey thus far.
I was thinking about you when I wrote these notes.
Oh,
because you were going to get your tattoo.
Yeah. Fair.
Did you think it was something else? No. It's like you're going to go, yeah. She's laid down for a long tattoo. You laid down for a long tattoo.
I sure did. I did not sing throughout the entirety of it unless you consider
whimpering. I love how romantasy, not even coded, but just fantasy your tattoo is.
Yeah, I do too. Now, as they prepare for Aelin to be tattooed, there are several references throughout where Aelin thinks, he did me the honor of not asking me this question, or he did not disrespect me for this. For example, quote, he gave her the honor of not second-guessing her decision or warning her of the oncoming pain. And it was starting to really honestly bother me that there was so much reference to this. But when I stopped to think about it, I understand that Aelin is marveling at how much respect Rowan is showing her because he had no respect for her at the start. In some ways, also, Rowan is respecting her grieving process because it's necessary. And to say anything or to second guess her would be to deny her that grieving process that she needs to go through.
Yeah.
She has to go through it on her own. Otherwise, she'll never get through it. What is my note here? No matter how hot he is. Oh, he can't stop the pain no matter how hot he is. I don't know what I was thinking. It was late. I had had 2 gin and tonics by this point. And I think the grieving process is emphasized by the use of salt. Not only did Celaena use salt to cleanse herself, quote, that was what the salt was for with this manner of tattoo, Rowan had told her, to remind the bearer of the loss. Like they're rubbing salt into the wound. Good was all she could think as the pain spider webbed through her back. Good. This is her grieving process. Again, she's a martyr. So for her to feel pain to help her grieve.
I'm so happy that this is not my grieving process. As someone who's had to do their fair share of it. Nope, not mine. Not mine. Yeah. I laugh through mine.
That's on brand.
Yeah. Actually, all of this is, yeah.
Now, we know Celaena/Aelin loves music. We've seen it a couple times throughout here, how music was tied to calming her while she was using her magic. And so it matters that the act of the tattoo is equated to something musical. Quote, he did not speak, his mallet and needles the drum to her chanting, weaving their work together. In Terrasen, she would sing from sunrise to sunset on her knees in gravel without food or drink or rest. Here, she would sing until the markings were done, the agony in her back, her offering to the gods. He's the percussion to her melody. He's the backup dancer to her performance. Again, thought I was funny. The point being, they make a good team in the ways that matter to Aelin. And SJM is demonstrating that through the use of music, which is essential to Aelin's character. And so I thought that was really beautiful.
Reading this, beautiful, right? And I can visually imagine this in a TV show or a movie. I can see the camera moving. I can see it fading of like her singing and the tattoo. When I put myself in that situation, it's awkward as fuck. So why does this ending hit so fucking hard? Because for me, this ending just absolutely, she crushes it. And we get moments like this, quote, never pausing for more than a breath, she chanted the prayer she owed them as a daughter and friend and heir. So I love this because you can imagine her being breathless, right? It's very much as if someone was crying hysterically, and it's mimicking the action of it, right? Never pausing her breath, she chanted prayers she owed them as a daughter and friend and heir, like that. There's no commas there. It's continued. There's no moment to catch your breath. And again, I love it when grammar is used to portray something. Yes, it's singing, like it's her singing, but it's also, I think, representation of her sobbing. Quote, Rowan did not utter a word while she sang, her voice broken and raw. He remained in the field with her until dawn, as permanent as the markings on her back. We don't get the she's sad. What we get instead is that her voice is broken and raw. That is a show, not tell. Again, I wrote these notes while in between another book where I was like, stop fucking telling me and just show me. What should she be doing? Voicing her emotions, which is like the way that she's doing that by singing. Again, there's just ways that you can do this without telling us she's sad.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't notice this until you read the quote, but he remained in the field with her until dawn, as permanent as the markings on her back. Like Rowan is permanent, is what that is saying, which like he is the steady presence she's never had.
Yeah, she didn't have that with Kale, with Sam, with anyone in her life. This is the first time she can truly feel like someone is permanent with her. That's intense. Good point. Good call out. The last line of this chapter is a reminder of what this book is ultimately about. And that is Aelin coming to terms with her past and forgiving herself. Quote, no longer would they be locked away in her heart. No longer would she be ashamed. And it's just a perfect fucking ending to her grief. It's such a perfect way of accepting the trauma and that balancing that feeling of I get to honor you and I will not be ashamed, but this will drive me and fuel me.
Yeah.
And yes, the first half we have issues with, but the ending just hits.
Yeah. It gives me goosebumps. Like, I didn't like the first half of this book. I just straight up didn't.
Yeah.
I have loved the last few episodes that we have done. And
Same.
I still find problems, right? There are still things that I don't agree with or that I think are missing. But ultimately, the emotion, this is what SJM is good at. And she brings so much emotion through the completion of the character arcs.
And I would argue part of the reason for that is because part 2 focuses a lot more on Aelin. The chapters are longer. There's more screen time dedicated to them. And when you're not having to rush things because you're trying to get to other storylines, she flourishes, SJM.
Yeah, I agree. Take a sip.
Take a sip. This ad break is shorter than Manon's patience. New year, Amy, and that means new fashion.
I am so excited for my new Uptown sneakers. They are so cute, and they are going to make me the hottest thing on this town.
And you're already the hottest thing on this town. However, your competition is here because I have my VI Very Intelligent Dress Ramona heels. And what I love about these heels is that, yes, they're a timeless style, but they are seriously comfortable. I really love wearing this really classic pump with my jeans. It's just enough of a heel for me and my jeans, and I don't look clunky with my boots. Now I actually look sleek and stylish, and
That's how I feel about my new Uptown sneakers. They're covered in suede, and the cushioning is contoured for support so that I can wear them on my commute if I take the train. I can wear them at work, and I'm going to be wearing these every Saturday too.
I can't wait because Vionic has their Gabby sneakers that's launching in January. And when it comes to Vionic, when it comes to their styles and their shoes, they always make sure to put comfort first with their motion technology. And that's honestly what sets them apart. Because we do need comfy feet. I can't just look good, I have to feel good too. Vionic offers a 30-day guarantee when it comes to your shoes. Wear them, love them, or return them for a full refund within 30 days.
Use code BookTok at checkout for 15% off your entire order at vionicshoes.com when you log into your account. It's a one-time use only, so get all those new styles.
Vionic shoes, wearable well-being for your feet. I wear glasses every day of the week except weekends, and those become my fun contact days until I'm about to run out, which I am on my last pair of contacts right now. 1-800-CONTACTS has been my go-to for refills with my contacts.
I've known you long enough that you'll go weeks without getting your contacts because of the location. But 1-800-CONTACTS skips the hassle. They offer free and fast shipping on every order.
For over 30 years, 1-800-CONTACTS has been the leader in online contact lens delivery with millions of contacts in stock and award-winning customer service.
They even offer free returns and exchanges, which means you can order confidently. They even offer unbeatable perks like free torn lens replacement. Their best price guarantee means if you find your contacts at a lower price elsewhere, they will beat it. That's a promise you won't find everywhere.
That's seriously why I keep going back to 1-800-CONTACTS. And they have extra discounts for new customers on their site.
Getting contacts doesn't have to be a hassle. Let 1-800-CONTACTS get you the contact lenses you need right now.
Order online at 1-800-CONTACTS.com or download the free 1-800-CONTACTS app today.
One of the things that was really hard to learn about banking as a young 20-something was how to avoid overdraft fees and building enough credit to actually have a credit card. There are so many ways Chime is making banking stress-free. They don't charge you fees for banking with them, and they provide you overdraft coverage. And on top of that, you can build credit without the worry about a regular credit card.
There's a reason why Chime is rated 5 stars by USA Today for customer service, because they offer real humans 24/7. I can't tell you the amount of times I have called my bank crying because I cannot stop talking to the robot who cannot help me.
I personally feel like every 20-something-year-old out there needs a Chime card. It's a great way to build credit history with your own money that you're actually earning, and you get rewarded every day.
And for those of us who might not be 20-something, still highly recommend it because of the no annual fees, no interest, no strings attached, and when you qualify for direct deposits, you get 1.5% cash back on eligible Chime card purchases. That's good for anyone.
It's good for everyone.
Chime is not just smarter banking. It is the most rewarding way to bank. Join the millions who are already banking fee-free today.
It just takes a few minutes to sign up. Head to chime.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK.
That's chime.com/booktalk.
Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services, a secured Chime Visa credit card, and MyPay line of credit provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. MyPay eligibility requirements apply, and credit limit ranges $20 to $500. Optional services and products may have fees or charges. See chime.com/fees info. Advertised annual percentage yield with Chime Plus status only. Otherwise, 1.00% APY applies. No min balance required. Chime card on-time payment history may have a positive impact on your credit score. Results may vary. See chime.com for details and applicable terms.
So we're in chapter 61, and we're now with Manon and the war games. Quote, officials and counselors from Aelin had been arriving for days, come to monitor the games from the top of the northern fang. They would report back to the king of Aelin about what the witches and their mounts were like and who the victor was. We are setting it off the bat that the witches are not in power, that they are performing for men to review and judge.
What I like, though, is like they're hardly mentioned again.
Only one other time, and I'll
like one
point it
other
out.
time.
Yeah.
But I'm like, yeah, they're there to judge. But at no point is Manon worried about,
No.
did they see me slip? She doesn't give a shit.
She's like, whatever. I like go away, little mortals.
Yeah.
Now, reflecting on completing the crossing, this is Manon being like, oh, remember the time I completed the crossing? And her grandma didn't care that
Hmm.
she survived and absolutely killed it. Quote, Manon had not accomplished anything. She had merely done what was expected of her. I think it's great that we're kind of getting a little bit of these old Manon moments, these like flashes, these moments of thinking. And I don't want to say Manon's changed. So I don't want to say like these old Manon moments. I'm just calling it the Manon of chapter whenever she showed up, right? Early book Manon.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting these moments because there's going to be a lot of conflict to her. And again, this is her downplaying the lack of excitement that her grandma gave her. All of the witches fly on up to the war games, and this is the one other time that they think about those counselors. Quote, when all the covens were airborne, they gathered in the skies, presenting the entirety of the host to the little mortal men in the mountains. You can interpret this in two different ways. There's a power to this. The entirety of the host, all of them, all of the witches are in the sky, kind of reminding them, you better watch yourself, right? They're little mortal men. Or the other part of the reality, because there's two realities happening, is that these mortal men are in charge of them.
Mm-hmm.
Manon and the 13 end up being getting assignments. They all get assignments. Doesn't matter how much they want to play things up. They are currently reporting to these little mortal men.
Yep, it's true.
As they start fighting, so all the wyverns are fighting each other, and shit is starting to go down. Astrid is just having a good time. Quote, Astrid, the only one who kept close the entire time, was grinning like mad. Only other people are allowed to experience joy, not Manon.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
so much joy is so close to her. She is surrounded by joy, but she still can't feel it.
And we're going to get more of that later.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the 13 and the rest of the Blackbeak clan are a well-honed weapon machine, and we see that in the war games. Quote, the other 4 covens behind them shot in like an arrow, punching a line through the barrier that the 13 then swept through. So even as they're playing the war games and they're on the backs of wyverns, they and their wyverns are still equated to weapons. And they have that skill and coordination we never see with the other clans, especially the Yellowlegs. Quote, like the limbs of one creature, they struck the Yellowlegs lines where every coven had mixed, now next to strangers and wyverns with whom they had never ridden closely before. The confusion got worse as the 13 scattered them and pushed them about. Orders were shouted, names were screamed, but the chaos was complete. Now, I point this all out because we like Manon, we like the 13, but SJM makes sure that they earn
Mm-hmm.
their strength, that narratively we believe that they are the best of the best when it comes to the witches, because the writing has done the work.
Yep. Absolutely. So Manon watches as Petra and Iskra start fighting, and Iskra orders her wyvern to kill Keely, and Petra then starts to plummet to the ground. Quote, Manon didn't know if she gave the command or thought it, but that scream, that mother's scream she'd never heard before, made her lean in. I love this because, again, I think one of the developing themes of this book is a mother's love, is that feminine power. And I think that it mirrors nicely to Aelin, who had mother's love, and Manon, who never had a mother's love. But it was so triggering that Manon just acts on it. And I like the idea, like leans in, but she's leaning in to plummet to the ground, but she's also kind of like leaning into it.
Yeah. Well, and I completely agree with you. And I think it also goes back to like seeing the joy on Astrid's face.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much Manon is starving for, including love, that she is even willing to fight for somebody else's love of their daughter.
Yeah.
She is willing to take that risk, whether consciously or subconsciously.
Yep. Just want to call out another great writing moment, and this is the last line of the chapter. Quote, Manon told herself it was for an alliance, told herself it was for show, but all she could see was the unconditional love that the dying wyvern's eyes, unconditional love in that dying wyvern's eyes as she unbuckled her harness, stood from the saddle, and leapt off of Abraxas. We feel the conflict within Manon, right? That all she could see. We can see how that is very consuming of her. And
Mm-hmm.
this action is new to her. Going out of her way to save a rival, to save anyone, is new to her. She is in absolute new element.
Yeah. And it's powerful.
Very. Just like the sip we're about to take. So we're in chapter 62. Manon goes after Petra, and Keely kind of sacrifices herself / holds on a little bit longer in order to save Petra. Quote, Keely hit the floor of the canyon with a crash that could be heard across the mountains. She did not rise again. I think this is another example of great writing because the crash that is being heard across the mountains is the sacrifice that's being heard. It wasn't just Manon who saw that. All the witches, I bet, saw that. In my mind, everyone pauses for a minute to watch what happens. And, there has been witches who've said, they're wyverns. They don't know any better. This is ridiculous. Stop acting like they understand you. This shows that they're more than that. They have heart.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's so sad, but I love it.
Yeah, me too.
Now, despite this amazing feat that Manon and Abraxas have pulled off, even at one point, Manon's like, I've never seen a wyvern bank that hard. Basically, I'm paraphrasing. Despite all this, the Blackbeak matron has to punish Manon. Quote, she should have let the witch die, her grandmother screamed at her that night as she struck Manon again and again for her lack of obedience. Lack of brutality, lack of discipline. What we don't realize yet, but we do after we see the Kraken Witch who's about to show up, is that the matron is trying to beat the heart out of Manon. It's not so much that she should have let the blue blood heir die. What it's really about is that no matter who it was, she should have let them die.
Mm-hmm.
Because to do anything else shows weakness on Manon's part, that she has capacity for empathy. And that is not acceptable to the matron, which is sad because it is the exact opposite of the mother's cry Manon heard as Petra fell.
Yeah.
There's a reason why Manon has never heard a mother's cry, and that's because of who her grandmother is.
So a little moment that Amy might cover, I don't know. I don't think you do.
You took it.
But I like this quick line. Manon goes to drink her drink, and then Astrid takes it and, to take a sip. Quote, they're not above poisoning you, her second said, winking. It's kind of fun. It's kind of playful. And it's kind of incredible that Manon still doesn't understand love. She's like, why are you winking at me? That's not what she says. But in my mind, she was like, no, what? Which is what makes the crotch witch.
The Kraken
witch. That, her death is about to be much more tragic because we know Manon is capable of love. She hasn't said it yet. She hasn't necessarily come to the realization, but we, the reader, know she is capable of love. And this moment is just a nice little teaser.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone in the room, because everyone's just partying, being like, oh my God, yay. And everyone in the room cheers except for the 13. Quote, they did not need to cheer, for they were immortal and infinite and glorious, wonderfully deadly. Except they're not immortal, they're aging. But it's the pride that they're experiencing, but also the lack of reality. Again, Manon has an absolute lack of reality.
Yeah, she is unreliable. And what I like about this is that what we're seeing is that even in her mind, probably also in the minds of the 13, they are larger than life. They view themselves above the rest. And they've convinced us that we think the same.
Yeah.
But there is something a little pompous about it that I like.
Oh, yeah. Manon is about to be forced to take the witch's cloak, the one that she's about to kill. And there is This is such a power move by the grandma. Quote, Manon straightened. She could not refuse, but this was her cloak. It had always been. There's identity in clothing, right? I mean, and it also reminds me like a little kid with their blanket and, comfort blanket. And it's not Manon's choice to change her identity. It's her grandma who's saying, you have to change your identity now.
Yeah. So I love this moment when the Kraken witch is brought into the room, not because of the content, but because of what it means. So I will read this quote. If her broken face, shattered fingers, lacerations, and burns did not give away what she was, then the blood-red cloak she wore did. Now, any other writer probably would have said, if not for the blood-red cloak first, rather than the other way around, because visually, the blood-red cloak is what we, as readers, have learned gives away the Kraken identity. That's how we've been instructed to recognize a Kraken witch. However, Manon recognizes the Kraken witch by the abuse inflicted upon her, which shows us Manon's desensitization to violence, especially after she's received her own punishment for saving Petra. Manon also realizes the challenge presented to her by her grandmother, being forced to kill this Kraken witch in front of everyone. And in the process, Manon is realizing the influence her grandmother has on her that aren't just deeply held beliefs that, are just part of living, which is what she's previously believed about these things. Quote, the Krakens had cursed them, made them eternal exiles. They deserved to die, each and every one of them. But it was not her voice that said those things in her head. No, for some reason, it was her grandmother's. Manon is both cognizant and not cognizant of the brainwashing. What we're seeing happen is her slow disillusionment, the deprogramming that she's undergoing, even though she's not really conscious of it. And what I love about it is that it all began because of her love for Abraxas.
Yeah.
And the love that Abraxas showed her.
Yeah. I kind of want to go back to the quote you said earlier where, quote, if her broken face, shattered fingers, lacerations, and burns did not give away what she was, the blood red cloak she wore did. And you're saying that it kind of shows some of the desensitization. What?
Desensitization.
Yeah, that one.
Desensitization.
Desensitization. I actually feel like it's showing the opposite, that she's starting to become sensitized to it. Because if she was truly desensitized, the blood red cloak would come first, right? But, she wouldn't even care about the bruises. But instead, she's listing it. Broken face, shattered fingers, lacerations, burns.
Yeah.
She's clocking every single thing.
Yeah. No, it's a good point.
And it just adds to the moment, right? Like the fact that the Kraken is it's called crotch. Like crotch is in the word. I don't know what you want from me.
It's okay. I forgive you.
Thank you. I just want Webster Dictionary to fucking understand the struggles that I myself live with. The Kraken's really interesting in this moment because she's calling out everything that the reader should have been thinking by now. But just in case the reader hasn't come to this conclusion, the witch will. And she's calling out just how toxic these other clans are. And Manon has good in her. Quote, a reminder of what they made you to be. They made you this way. It's the first time she's being called out so plainly. People are not born with hate. They are raised to hate.
Yes. And to make it really stick, she has to tell Manon, our biggest secret is we pity you, which no one likes to be pitied. Quote, we pity you, each and every one of you, for what you do to your children. They are not born evil, but you force them to kill and hurt and hate until there is nothing left inside of them of you. They have made you into monsters, made Manon, and we feel sorry for you. Pity is the worst. Like, we saw how much Aelin did not want to be pitied by Rowan, that she kept her truth from him. And in my mind, pity doesn't necessarily include respect because it's kind of condescending, especially in this situation.
Yeah, I've looked up the definition because I agree. Like, there's a thing that people are always like, I don't want your pity. But there's nothing in the Let me double check.
It's not about definition. I think it's about connotation.
And I agree. But the reason why I was going to bust that out, but I'm not going to, is the fact that we should be okay with pity. Like, when did pity become such a bad thing? I do want someone to sympathize with me. I do want you to feel bad. It was a bad thing. Like, it's just funny to me how we've turned pity into a bad thing. And in my book, I am going to be like, I don't want your pity. And it's like, I feel bad for you. And I don't feel bad. And I'm not going to regret feeling bad for you. Like,
Yeah.
you went through
That's a good
something
point.
shitty.
Yeah.
It's just, but you're right. Like, you are right. Like, people don't want pity. But I personally think we should bring pity back.
But there is pity implies, even though it's not, like you said, it's not part of the definition, but it implies a lack of respect that you view me as this poor creature instead of respecting me for what I am.
Yep.
And how can someone pity an immortal, infinite, glorious, deadly person like Manon and her 13? It really diminishes their own standing in their eyes.
Yep. So after killing the Kraken, Manon's kind of over the whole scene and she sneaks out with Abraxos and they go flying away and they're sitting outside and Manon's just reminiscing what the Kraken said. Quote, "We feel sorry for you." Manon rubbed at her eyes and braced her elbows on her knees, peering into the drop below. How beautiful. Everything in that sentence is perfect. Manon rubbed her eyes. That can be showed that she's tired, that she doesn't want to cry, that it's just like something she literally doesn't want to see, right? Braced her elbows on her knees. That's a thing you do when you're trying to not hyperventilate. That's like a grounding thing. Peered into the drop below. Why is she peering? Does she want to throw herself off of that? Does she see her own complex emotions as being that drop below? Like, there's just a lot that can be not just interpreted, but you can also say, like, all of these things are right. All these feelings are accurate.
Yeah. It's a very good way to describe the physicality of the moment without prescribing emotion to it, because Manon doesn't want to face her emotions.
Yeah.
She has no emotions. Now, ultimately, it is, and I say this word not ironically, but it is kind of that innocence, maybe not innocence, naivety and devotion of the Wyverns that has brought Manon out of this cycle of brutality that she's been subjected to as a witch. And I love that because animals are just beautiful creatures that should be cherished. Quote, "She would have dismissed her, wouldn't have thought twice about it, if it hadn't been for the look in Keely's eyes as she fell, fighting with every last scrap of strength to save her Petra, or for Abraxos's wing, sheltering Manon against icy rain." I love that Manon, in her head, says her Petra when Petra called her wyvern her Keely. It's just like an honorific almost, and honoring Keely's memory.
I mean, and it's almost like Manon is Abraxos.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I also like about this is that Manon had no thoughts about Abraxos's wing sheltering her when that moment happened, when they went to seek out the Stygian spiders. So here, for the first time, she's acknowledging it and what it meant to her, which I think is so sneaky on SJM's part, and I love it. She is even, quote, "grateful for the steady, solid companion lounging behind her. A strange feeling, that gratitude for his existence." What Manon is learning is love via her relationship with her wyvern, Probably because it's the first form of unconditional love she's ever understood. Not necessarily encountered, right? Astrid seems to love her unconditionally, but Astrid's also a witch.
Yeah.
She's not supposed to have feelings, whereas a wyvern, who's not supposed to be as complex as humans or fae, is demonstrating complexity.
Yep. So this is the second to last chapter that we have with Manon, and it summarizes how incredible her character growth has been. And that's something that, like, we've talked about before, Amy, of like, does her story need to be even put in here? And, ultimately, yeah, like, it absolutely did. This isn't like she needed this time to grow. Quote,
Mm-hmm.
somehow, even though her long life had been gone for 10 years, somehow that regret made her feel incredibly heavily mortal. At the start of the book, Manon was killing these men, left and right without even thinking. And now she's regretting killing the witch. And she's also saving lives. And it is human to care. It is human to grieve. Because right now, the witches and fae, they don't give no fucks, right? Like, they're like, we're too hard for this. And it kind of comes down to what it means to be human. And that's a theme that we see in all of SJM's books and series. What does it mean in ACOTAR? What does it mean to have a human heart?
Yeah.
Crescent City, what does it mean to have human values or morals?
Yeah, to value humanity. I love this because I had the same thought as you, but what I'm just now realizing is it's not only that at the start of the book, Manon killed men ruthlessly, she was specifically there in hiding to find Kraken witches to kill.
Yeah. Yep.
And now that we have seen her fulfill that assignment to kill a Kraken witch, that is what is setting her over the edge.
Mm-hmm.
That is good writing.
That's bookending for you, baby. Take a sip. Okay. So now we're in chapter 63. And I fucking love this chapter. I love the next several chapters because it talks a lot about Chaol and it speaks volumes about him. So at this point, word has gone out about Aelin. He's with Aedion, and Aedion's been celebrating for days. Oh, and just keep in mind that this is in Chaol's point of view. Quote, she had done it, had made such a statement that even days later, Aedion was still celebrating. Quietly, of course. Chaol had come here tonight planning to tell Aedion and Ren what he knew of the spell the king had used and how they might destroy it. But he hadn't yet. He still wondered what Aedion would do with that knowledge. This is character development. And character development doesn't have to necessarily mean, look, they're a better person at the end of the book, right? But this entire book, Chaol has been on the fence, right? Like, who does he support? Who is his allegiance to? And we can see him finally making a choice, which is funny because his choice kind of gets taken away at one point. So Chaol's been struggling with Aelin on what to do with the truth, not just with the fact that she's fae, but also a queen, right? Quote, he could not accept that part of her, so bloodthirsty and unyielding. Even as Celaena, it had been hard to swallow at times, and he had tried to look past it. But as Aelin, he'd known since the moment he'd figure out what she was, that while Celaena would always pick him, Aelin would not. Fucking fantastic character development. It is also complex because he's finally coming to this decision. He's coming to this understanding that he doesn't trust her. Even when she was Celaena, he didn't trust her. Unlike Dorian, who's still calling her Celaena, he knows that this is Aelin that he is now dealing with. He's having to face his own fears, his own insecurities, that they rule him. Also, he gets a lot of shit online, and I just want to come back to this. He gets a lot of shit online for not accepting Aelin. At this point, Queen of Shadows might be a different story, but at this point in the book, he does not say anything about fae deserve to be pieces of shit. He does not say anything about fae deserve to be powerless and kicked out. Yes, he was supporting a king that did do that. Obviously, he has broken away from that, but people are always like, he's racist. And yes, I get it. Like, this is meant to be a metaphor for race, but at the same time, like, there is no like race in our world that's bloodthirsty. You know what I mean? Like, there's no equivalent that we can have. This is a different species, and this species is bloodthirsty. It is Chaol's right to say I don't want someone who is like that. It is his right. Does this make him a good person? Are there more complex feelings and more things going on? Yes. But as from me to the reader, I challenge you in that one avenue.
So I love that. Beautifully said. I'm going to say something that takes it in a different direction, and I
Okay.
don't mean to undermine you in any way.
No. Go for it.
The great irony to me
Yeah.
of all of this is that he is passing judgment on a moment about which he has no understanding.
Yep.
Right? All he knows is she killed Norok with her fire and, destroyed an army. Because at the end of the day, what he doesn't like about bloodthirstiness is the fact that it goes against his morals. The fact that Aelin fought to keep an entire fortress of innocent people alive and killed beings that were inhabiting dead humans who were possessed by Valgfey, I'm sure he would be on board with that. Like, that seems like a
Yeah.
moral choice. But
Yeah.
instead, Cale adds his own meaning to Aelin's actions, just like Dorian and Adian did.
Mm-hmm.
They're prescribing meaning that is through such a filtered lens that they don't even stop to think that maybe there's more to the situation than they're aware of. And what it shows me is that Cale is still not capable of understanding her because he has been on the fence. He is still limited by his worldview and his loyalty.
I mean, and that's like, Cale is the definition of yes and, right?
Yeah.
All of what you said, yes. And he did accept like Celaena was too bloodthirsty for him.
Yeah.
That does count. You know what I mean? Like, yes, he doesn't and he doesn't understand the full context and maybe his opinion will change. However, he's also been struggling with Celaena and there's a reality to that too. And he's always understood, he's always seen Celaena for who she was, right? Never fully trusted her, knew what she was capable of. And it's just, I love a complex character. I love it. I love how complicated he is.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, I don't know where my brain was going to go with this. I don't know what the fuck my brain was trying to make, but I was going to say, I understand. I haven't dated a single funny guy before.
Okay.
I don't know where I was going to connect those dots, but that was the first thing that popped up in my head.
Okay.
To continue the quote, and it would not be Celaena Sardathian who returned to this continent. It would take time, he knew, for it to stop hurting, to let go, but the pain wouldn't last forever. All of this is coming from a place of pain, of hurt, of insecurity, of fear, and a dose of reality. That's the complex thing, right? Is that Cale out of Dorian, let's say, and maybe, and dare I say even Adian, because Adian is just so, horny for his cousin. Cale does have a healthy dose of reality, but what happens when that reality is surrounded by hurt and insecurity and fear?
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying this is a good thing. I'm just saying that I love it when you can trace back why a character does what they do. He's a perfectly flawed character. He's complex. We understand his thoughts. And even if we don't agree with it, and we, the reader, might be like, everyone else gets on board with Celaena being Fae, hurry up. Sure, that's your right. But at least we know where he's coming from. But Cale cannot move on. And again, I'm just calling out these character developments moments. Quote, the eye of Elena was warm at his neck, and Cale almost reached for it, but he couldn't bring himself to send her that message or to let her go that completely. Not yet. Just as he couldn't bring himself to tell Adian about the clock tower. He's so fucking torn. He can't let go of Celaena, but he also can't give Adian that last clue that could potentially bring down the king. And again, it's not about the king. It's about the royal family. It's about what Cale pledged his allegiance to. And it just the back and forth, the push and pull that's within him in this moment is chef's kiss.
It's chef's kiss because it's about to radically change.
I know.
so quickly, and I love it. It's so good.
Because we have this moment as a reader where, all of these scenes are wrapping up, right? Wow, we just wrapped up Manon. We're going to wrap up these guys here too. Tomorrow's a new day. And then we just fuck everything up.
Yeah.
So now we're in Sorcia's point of view, and I'm going to merge a couple quotes into one long running quote. And I'm going to preface this by saying, I don't think Sorcia truly deeply loved Dorian, and I don't think Dorian truly deeply loved Sorcia. Remember, she only loved him from afar initially, and it's only been in the last couple months that she's, gets to be with him, but it's all within rose-tinted glasses. It's all within, like, the boy that I've always liked finally likes me back. And here's my quote to prove that. And even if Sorcia gave everything to Dorian, the upcoming weeks and months would be trying enough for him without having to worry for her. And yet, no matter what happened tomorrow or next week or next year, she was grateful to the gods, to fate, to herself for being brave enough to kiss him that night. Grateful for this little bit of time she'd been given with him. No, she could not be queen, for there were limits to her bravery and to what she could offer. I'm trying to think of all the arguments to people who are like, yeah, she did love him, yes, but Sorcia's willing to call quits. And I respect it. There's a reality to the situation. I respect her being like, you know what? This is only going to get messy. This is only going to be complex. And I don't have what it takes to give to him. And that's not without that she's not capable of love and there isn't a degree of love there.
Yeah.
It's not the kind of love that we see from other characters that are willing to say, I will go to the ends of earth with you.
Right. It's not Rowan and Aelin saying to whatever end.
It's not even Chaol telling Aelin, I'll leave with you at the end of, Crown of Midnight. We've seen characters love each other and want and be ready to step up for them. And Sorcia doesn't have that in her to give to Dorian. And you could say that's not her character. She would never be able to. Or you can say that Dorian was just not the right guy for her to step up for.
Or at the end of the day, he is the son of the king of Aelin, who is responsible for her parents' death. And that's always going to be a barrier for her.
Great news. She won't have to think about it that much longer.
Oh, Jesus. In many ways, Dorian and Sorcia are tools for each other, right? Sorcia is a tool for Dorian to feel like a man, to grow, to learn to care for someone other than himself as much as he's currently capable of. And honestly, I think she has brought out the best in him, the best of what he's capable of at this moment. For Sorcia, Dorian is a tool for her to live a fantasy of a life she knows she'll never have. Right? She has lived tragedy after tragedy after tragedy, and Dorian is the oasis amidst all that tragedy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't invalidate what they experience, but I think it explains why they're so attached to each other without it being real, true love.
They get to play pretend with each other.
Yep. Like earlier with the Eye of Elena, Chaol is still on the fence, still can't move on. And SJM is so good at taking objects and prescribing so much meaning to them. Right? We remember the eagle pommel on his sword because that was one of the first things Celaena noticed. And it's here again, quote, he hadn't been able to bring himself to lead his sword to his replacement as he should have done. That is the captain of the guard's sword. He got that from his predecessor.
Yeah. And what does he do with the sword at the end? He throws it away anyway.
Well, but in this moment, what it symbolizes is he's not ready to give up his identity as captain. He is still loyal to the crown. And even though he's forfeiting the role because of a bargain, he's not ready to let go. So when he is ready to let go, it is so significant.
I mean, and arguably, is he even ready to let go or is he forced to let go?
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
Yep.
Take a
Take
sip. We are now in chapter 64. The king summons Chaol, Aedion, Dorian, and Sorsha. It's just one big party. And everything goes tits up because it wouldn't be an SJM book if we didn't have one more thing. She's like the Steve Jobs of... and there's one more thing. But go ahead, tell us about the one more thing, Amy.
Dorian stands up to his father because, so what if we wanted to leave? I just want to keep her safe. There's nothing wrong with that, blah, blah, blah. Aedion, as this is going on, who has despised Dorian for a long time, and which we saw at the start of the book, happens to be impressed by what Dorian is doing. Quote, Aedion couldn't help but admire him for it, for yielding nothing until the king showed his hand. Smart man, brave man, but it might not be enough to get them out of this alive. Now, is Aedion misjudging Dorian and Dorian's actions right now? I don't know. What I do know is that although Dorian and Aedion have not had a ton of time on the page together, we are seeing through Aedion's eyes how his view of Dorian has gone from boy to man. And I think it works because SJM is helping us see progression in Dorian's character through the lens of Aedion having respect for him for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does it change our opinion of Dorian because it's coming from Aedion? I don't know. But I think it was just a good way to show growth and culmination of growth through the eyes of another character.
Yep. I love it. They didn't even try to lie. When the king's like, why has my captain of the guard been hanging out with my general? Why have you guys been sneaking off? Like, there wasn't even an attempt to be like, we're lovers, or like, if they didn't want to go that far, they could be like, Dorian and I got into a fight, and I know my friendship with Aedion would piss him off the most.
Yeah, fair.
Like, at least try to lie. They're just not even good at lying.
Yeah.
Boys. Yes.
I think part of it is Aedion always knew the ruse was going to end, right? With Aelin out in the open. And I think he got to do it on his terms.
They didn't even try.
I know.
That's the thing. Like, what's the worst that can happen? The king says, no, I don't believe you. And you're like, damn, I tried. Okay, so in order to save Chaol, though, Aedion gives himself up as the spy. Quote, you want a spy? You want a traitor? The general drawled and flung his replicated... I didn't drawl. All right, let me repeat that. You want a spy? You want a traitor? The general drawled and flung his replica black ring on the floor. A lot of ring representation between the ring that Aelin has with Chaol. That's what I meant. Like that ring. And then with Maeve, many rings.
Mm-hmm. Lots of rings.
A lot of false rings.
Yes. That's a good point. Now, one of the things I question, and we kind of talked about this already, would Aedion have revealed himself if Aelin hadn't already revealed herself? And like I've alluded to, I don't think so. I think Aedion was waiting for the other shoe to drop. I think he is inclined to reveal himself because he knows at some point he's going to get caught. Why not it be on his own terms? And if Aelin was not known to the world, he would still be holding out hope for her. And he could not be useful to her unless he continued to keep his disguise. So even though he knows or believes that Aelin cares a lot for Chaol, I think he would have let Chaol die if Aelin had not revealed herself.
Oh, absolutely. He's trying to be as good as Aelin.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even know Aelin.
Yeah.
And, the memory he has of her is an 8-year-old. So, like, how good is an 8-year-old? But he has idolized her in his head.
Mm-hmm.
The way that we've talked about people starting to idolize Aelin, and he's trying to live up to the image that he has made her out to be.
I love that you said that because Aedion says this quote And it takes me back to the vision Aelin had as a warning.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, "All you monsters can burn in hell because my queen is coming, and she will spike you to the walls of your God's damned castle, and I can't wait to help her gut you like the pigs you are."
Mm-hmm.
So it's very ACOTAR, it's very Amarantha Under the Mountain, which, aka, for those of us who've read it, it's just very Fae. That aggression, treating humans like animals, like Feyre being threatened to be a pig on a spit, like all of that is what Aedion is prescribing to Aelin as a ruler, which
Mm-hmm.
is very Fae, which is not the type of ruler we want Aelin to be. It is very much like the vision she was warned, like, if you have too much power, this could happen to you. That has this same flavor to it.
That's the thing is, like, we as readers should know Celaena Aelin better than anyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because she killed Grave
Yeah.
and Archer in book 2.
Yep.
And she regrets how she killed them. She regrets that, it was torture, the place in her heart where it came from. And it's not that she knew that they had to die, but just the way that it went and the motivations. She hated that.
Mm-hmm.
She hated that about herself. This Aelin, Celaena, is not the one who's going to come and spike their heads to the wall. You know what I
Right.
mean? That is not who she is. But people need to make her be what they need her to be in their head.
Yep.
After some begging and failing, Source is beheaded.
So fast.
So I appreciate how fast it happens because, like, as you're reading it, you're kind of like, what the fuck just happened? Did that just happen? And
Yeah.
you end up being as stunned as Dorian. Quote, "Cale was too stunned to do anything other than watch the rest of Sorcia's body topple to the ground. And then Dorian, still screaming, was scrambling through the blood towards her head, as if he could piece her together." That is heartbreaking. I saw someone on TikTok being like, what's the thing that haunts you? And it's Dorian trying to put a head back together. It's very
Mm-hmm.
childlike, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
very much a child trying to fix something that's broken and being like, it's okay. It'll be all okay. But visually, oh, so good. Let's
Yeah.
kill her again. Like, that was just great.
It's so good. I think about it often. I think about the visual often, but this is the first time I'm thinking about it as a child with their doll,
Mm-hmm.
where the doll head has been ripped off.
Yep.
And that says this is a trauma response, obviously, but it also says a lot if we look at it through the lens of being childlike. Sorcia was Dorian's doll.
Yeah. Yeah.
The first time he's had a toy that didn't talk back. And he wants it to he doesn't want that illusion to break.
Yep. Great continuing of the visual.
Thank you. Take a sip.
Oh, yes.
We move on into chapter 65, and it is finally time for Cale to make a stand. And he wants to make that stand. He begins to draw his sword, but the King of Otterlin treats him like a fucking child, and I love it. Quote, "Put away your sword, Captain. I've no interest in your noble antics. You're to go home to your father tomorrow. Don't leave this castle in disgrace." He just got a talking down to. The king called Cale and Cale's desire to take a stand as noble antics. Like, it's obvious from this that the king has never respected Cale, his values, his loyalty, and that is all you need to know to explain, like, how everything has changed for Cale.
Yeah.
To realize he has put so much stock in his loyalty to this king, and this king has never valued it.
Oh, yeah. And it does kind of almost bring back the original question of, like, how is a 22-year-old captain of the guard? Like, and we made a joke in the first season of Throne of Glass being like, just imagine the, like, 40-something-year-old that's like, did I just get passed for a promotion because of this little dickhead?
Yeah.
And it shows because he was just trying to placate him. He's
Yep.
just trying to play honorable, noble.
Yep.
So Cale then talks in one go more than he does in his entire life, at least in my head. Like, he's never really had a speech or said more than 3 words at one time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not true. That's me being facetious. Quote, "There is one true king in this room. There has always been, and he is not sitting on that throne." Dorian stiffened, but Cale went on. "There is a queen in the north, and she has already beaten you once. She will beat you again and again. Because what she represents and what your son represents is what you fear most. Hope. You cannot steal it. No matter how many you rip from their homes and enslave, you cannot break it. No matter how many you murder." Wow. Somebody decided to put on their big boy pants.
Good job, Cale.
Great. I mean, Cale is being forced to accept things. And that is, the crown is not the crown that he sees it today. Like, he kept saying he's loyal to the crown. However, he's not loyal to the crown. He's loyal to Dorian. And there's that separation. There's also the realization that, yeah, Aelin is the symbol of hope, and she probably will be the one to destroy this man. And, you know, he goes from like, I can't accept her, to like, thank God she's here and she represents hope. But not just him. Dorian also represents hope. And again, complexity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cale is now in danger. And because of course Cale's going to be in danger because Cale just like went off on the king. And that means when we know Cale's in danger, that means Dorian is about to use his magic. Quote, "Only enough time to see Dorian's eyes widen and the whole room plunge into ice. I'm back with the queer lens, baby." The magic, as we've talked about, is a representation of Dorian's sexuality and love for Cale, and tends to really come out when he's in protection and service of Cale. Dorian sacrifices the truth coming out, sacrifices his own safety, and the one thing that Cale didn't want in this book to happen has happened, all in order to save him. Quote, "Cale looked at his friend, perhaps for the last time, and said what he had always known from the moment they met, when he'd understood that the prince was his brother in soul. I love you." And then Dorian does the Han Solo, "I know." He doesn't say that, but it does give Han Solo, "I know."
It does. I love this moment. And part of it is the tragedy of Cale has sacrificed so much of himself, so much of his relationship with Celaena to prioritize Dorian, only for Dorian to do it better.
Yeah.
For Cale.
Yeah.
Like, and for Cale to utterly fail. Cale has utterly failed his only mission in life, which is to protect Dorian.
He sacrificed his friendship for Dorian to protect Dorian.
Yeah. And it's so, I'm going to say bloodthirsty on SJM's part. I love it. You know, she was right. She was writing this being like, they're going to hurt. It's so good.
Yeah. I don't imagine a single tear coming from her eyes in this one. I imagine her being like, hey, because that's us. Because that's me and Amy.
Now, after this moment, we get Aedian's point of view for a little tiny bit as he's being taken to the dungeons. And it's so sad because it is the complete opposite of the celebrating he had just pages before. Quote, "The gods had not helped him these past 10 years, and they would not save him now. He did not mind dying, though he still wished he'd gotten a chance to see her just once." Again, SJM twisting that knife, taking away joy that doubles pain because of the contrast between the two. And I think what I find especially sad about this is the fact that while Aelin did not necessarily, or she doesn't believe she got help from the gods for 10 years, in this episode, her wait has paid off. We start to see the gods intervene. She literally hears Mala Firebringer in her head. And so there's part of me as a reader that I'm like, Aedian, it's possible, don't give up hope. But he has, and that's even more sad for him.
And I also want to just appreciate the continued setup for the next book, right? They are saying very plainly, when Aelin comes back, she's going to want to get her cousin.
Yeah.
And he now knows that his presence and being captured is going to put her in danger. Actually, if he had made that connection I think he would have tried a little harder to get out, to be honest.
Yeah.
But like, we can't expect these boys to like have fully formed thoughts right away.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're in Dorian's point of view. I just want to say before I move on to Dorian's point of view, Dorian, his magic didn't flare for Sorsha to save
No,
her.
I know. I completely had the same thought that his magic was reserved only for Kale because he loves Kale, not Sorsha.
And people could be like, Sorsha happened so quickly. And it's like, yeah, but do you think Dorian knows what he's doing? Like, it's just a reaction. It's visceral. It's his love. Now, like I said, we're back in Dorian's point of view, and he explains why he saved Kale. Quote, he should have saved her. It had been so sudden, her being Sorsha. But when the arrow had fire at Kale, that was the death he could not endure. Kale had drawn his line, and Dorian was on his side of it. Kale had called him king. So revealing his power to his father did not frighten him. No, to save his friend, dying did not scare him one bit. This is the most mature, selfless thing we have seen from Dorian. This is him understanding love. Truly, I believe for the first time. We, had him at one point saying when he once thought he was in love with Celaena. We have him thinking that he cares for Sorsha, which again, he cares for her, but I doubt it's like the full love. We are seeing him really understand it. And whether you want to call it, their romantic love or their platonic love, it is beautiful because it's showing the character growth between Dorian and Kale and the fact that Dorian's now finally become selfless in this moment. And like they're arguing, it was a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
Kale goes running out of the palace, but before he does that, he has to go get Fleetfoot, and he puts the dog over his shoulder. He fireman carries the dog out, and Fleetfoot's big. They've already established Fleetfoot's like a hound, and dogs run fast. I don't know where that thought process was, but I also find it oddly hot. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I always assumed Kale was like, this dog isn't going to listen to me and I don't have time to fuck around.
I think Fleetfoot would get it. But,
Yeah.
and then he just is like, I need to go raid the books. I need to go get some not jewels, but go get the crown or not like gold and stuff. And yeah, it is funny. He's like, I got to get out of here. But first, let me do my to-do list. Okay, I have to stop by Fleetfoot. I have to stop by the tomb. I have to.
Yeah, it is funny, but what I like about this moment is what it demonstrates, which is that shift in Kale that we have been waiting for. He's grabbing magical books. He's grabbing a magical sword. He's talking to a magical door knocker. He's taking the escape route Celaena meant for herself in Throne of Glass.
Yep.
She never used it. He's the one using it. And so we see him finally making his choice and it truly being on Aelin's side.
Mm-hmm.
It just happens to be too late.
Between Dorian, Adian, and Kale, they all could have left. And what I love about this is that they all had reason to leave. Yeah. When the slaves were all killed, and then when word about Aelin came out, the fact that Dorian said two of his father had killed two of the generals already, and there were enough signs to leave. And I don't mean this from like a reader being like, obviously we know that this is bad. How are they supposed to know? No, they knew it was bad.
Yeah.
Dorian was talking about an escape route. Kale was ready to execute the escape route. Like everyone was ready to go, but I'm just calling it a boy thing. But not just a boy thing. I think it's a tragic thing. I think what's tragic about it is that they're just too late.
Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing about tragedy is that if they had just hadn't waited 2 days, if they had just done it, right? That's what makes it so good and so painful.
It's all about the hindsight.
Mm-hmm.
As if we weren't going to get another development from Kale, because after this we have another chapter with him, which is probably one of my favorite chapters with him of all time. He has to shift his priorities and his reality. And this is when he meets up with Ren. Quote, you and me, we'll find a way to free them, both Adian and your prince. Kale didn't hesitate as he gripped the rebel's outstretched hand. Kale was banking on his king to just not be evil enough in time for him to leave. He didn't say that, right? He wasn't saying like, And not just like that, like in time for leave, but he was banking on the king to not be evil enough so that he doesn't have to give the Wyrdkeys over, or like the truth about the towers. Like Chaol, if he understood and was willing to accept how volatile the king is, how evil he is, which he had all the context clues. It's not without he didn't not know. It's not without him not knowing for like a real reason. But he was really hoping on that little tiny glimpse and hope of what it means to be a king and a royal. And that came to bite him in the ass.
It sure did.
And bite Sorsha in the neck. Sip! Chapter 66, we have one more chapter with Manon. And her grandma gives her orders to serve the Duke and head to Morath. And we're sitting here as the reader being like, oh my God, we know who that is. Guess who's there? And this is a new mission with their wyverns, and they get to be free, even though they're off to go serve a man. But who feels that freedom the most? Quote, Astrid was smiling faintly. It was not a wild grin or one that promised death, but a calm smile. To be aloft and skimming the clouds where every blackbeak belonged, where Manon belonged. Again, I love that Astrid is used as a counter to Manon. It's a moment that's grounding in reality for the reader to be like, yes, this is a good moment. And the fact that Manon's not chiding her for it, right? She's not sitting there being like, I feel that too, but she's noting it, and she's not saying like she's wrong and stop it. We're buckbeaks. We don't do anything. We don't smile.
But I like what you're saying. Astrid is the vehicle for Manon's emotions because Manon is not allowed to have emotion.
Yep. And we get another emotional part. Quote, Astrid caught her stare and smiled wider, as if there wasn't a host of witches flying behind them and Morath lying ahead. Her cousin turned her face into the wind, breathing it in, exultant. Manon did not let herself savor that beautiful breeze or open herself to that joy. I mean, again, like the fact that that's like the last thing we're getting from Manon, it's the one step back. You know, we had 3 step forward, and now her being Manon is having this moment of saying, I don't get to feel that.
Again, Asham does such a good job mirroring the start of the book, because when is the first time we see Manon? She is savoring the wind. She is enjoying the wind and missing flying. And here she is flying and not able to enjoy it.
Yep.
Ugh, so good.
That was a short enough chapter that we don't need a sip. We are going into chapter 67. One last chapter with Chaol, and I am obsessed with this chapter because this is from Chaol's point of view, and Chaol's name is never used. Quote, the man pulled out a lovely blade, its eagle pommel glinting in the first light of dawn. For a long moment, he stared at the sword, thinking of all that it had once embodied. But there was a new sword at his side, an ancient king's blade, from a time when good men had served noble rulers and the world had prospered for it. There are 2 different things happening here. We have Chaol, who is mourning and giving up his identity. He is the man pulled out the lovely blade. We never get Chaol. This is a separation. But he also has hope, right? For this new and noble time. Like Chaol just wants to be noble. He just wants to be good. He is trying so hard to figure out what that means in this complicated world. And, you know, I fucking love it so much. And truly, this is why I think Chaol is one of my all-time favorite characters, because he has layers, and not just layers, but layers you understand, even if you don't agree with it, even if you're sitting here being like, you know, well, he should do better. Okay. If you can understand the motivation, if you can understand why he does that and the complexities to it, that to me is what makes a well-established character.
And what is so powerful about this is the symbolism of the swords, right? The eagle pommel sword symbol of captain of the guard, symbol of working for the King of Otterlin, no longer holds the values it had once embodied. Now he's taking this ancient blade of Gavin's. When good men ruled the earth, they served noble leaders. That's all he wants. He wants to be a good man serving a noble ruler.
Yeah.
And that is why he's making this trade, essentially.
And we know Gavin is almost to represent Dorian because Gavin came to Dorian in his dream. We know that Dorian is a descendant of Gavin. This is Chaol honoring that, whether he knows it or not, but this is Chaol honoring the court that Dorian can have.
Right, exactly. And mind you, the Eagle Pommel Sword is the same sword he refused to leave to his successor as Captain of the Guard because he was still clinging to his identity as Captain of the Guard.
Yep.
But now,
not now.
All of that has changed because it doesn't embody those values. And it's this amazing moment where he finally lets go of that misplaced loyalty. Quote, "No one noticed when the sword was jettisoned over the river, its pommel catching the sun and burning like golden fire, a flash of light before it was swallowed by the dark water, never to be seen again." I love it. I love it not just because he gets rid of the sword, but like golden fire like Aelin, destroying what belongs to the King of Otterlin, this sword going back to this dark place that is ruled by the King of Otterlin is just like really beautiful.
And again, it's showing us Chaol letting go, but how much can Chaol truly let go when he's a disassociated from his own name and identity? Like, that's the thing, is that we're having this moment, which we could interpret to be this beautiful moment, but it's never Chaol, it's the man. And that distance is going to be what carries him into Queen of Shadow.
You make a good point. He's doing what he has to do, but he doesn't carry the weight of his choosing to do it because he's disassociated.
And he's confused. Like, he's very lost. Again, one of my all-time favorite characters because I love a layer. I love a bloomin' onion.
Take a sip.
Oh, go ahead. Take a sip. One last sip for the season until we go into other stuff. But last chapter for Heir of Fire. That is chapter 68. And of course, the last chapter is going to be with Aelin. And Aelin, so perfectly, in contrast to what Chaol has just gone through and letting go, thinks about the ring that Chaol gave her. Quote, "She had awoken this morning and slipped the amethyst ring off her finger. It had felt like a blessed release, a final shadow lifted from her heart. But there were still words left unsaid between them, and she needed to make sure he was safe and would remain that way. Coming back to it, the 3 rings, and all of which are false rings, right? We have Adian's ring, Maeve's ring, and now this ring. And rings are almost so amazing because you would imagine there's something sacred, and yet all of them have been discarded. And even the ring that eventually went back to Maeve was discarded for years, right? Centuries. Right. And it's so nice because Aelin is going to Chaol in a place of healing. She has come to accept the side of herself. She has accepted not just Aelin, she's accepted her past. She has truly healed. And she's about to go speak to her ex who just lost everything.
And decided, I can't accept Celaena's bloodthirstiness.
You are not going to have a healthy conversation this way. You know what I mean? So it makes for a good Queen of Shadow. And I think that, I don't know, people keep saying like that's the season where they lose, or the book that they absolutely start to hate Chaol. And currently I'm like, I have enough sympathy for him at this point that I don't remember what he does, but it's going to have to be bad.
Yeah, I don't remember either. Maybe he's a dick to his mom? Like, I don't really remember.
If he slut shames her, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know. What is interesting about the use of the rings is that Adian gets rid of his ring, thereby losing his identity as soldier that works for the King of Otterlin. Aelin gets rid of Chaol's ring, thereby losing the identity of the Celaena who loved Kale.
Mm-hmm.
And they both get to finally be their true selves. The loss of the ring to Maeve is an exception because it remains hidden. Its true identity and Maeve's true identity remain hidden a little longer. And I just like that without having read the full series, you don't know this, but knowing it, it's just like, there's just so much going on. And SJM does it so well. I hate this book, but I love this ending.
Yeah.
Rowan does not like the fact that Aelin is going to leave for Otterling and go on her own. He tells her point blank, quote, "We're stronger together than apart." And I know he probably means literally since they're Karanom, but also look at the big fey male who needs somebody.
We will read this section in the breadcrumbs, but I think it's powerful and worth reading here. "I will call in every favor, every debt owed to Celaena Sardothian, to my parents, to my bloodline. And then," she looked towards the sea, towards home, "and then I'm going to rattle the stars." We are getting a really good idea of where this is headed, but more importantly, we are starting to see the merger between Aelin and Celaena.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, I like that she uses both their full names in this last chapter.
Yep.
Aelin asks Rowan what he prayed for before they went to see Maeve, and he tells her that one of the things he prayed for was that Aelin would leave alive, that she would survive the encounter. Quote, "That strange, comforting warmth, that presence that had reassured her, the setting sun kissed her cheeks as if in confirmation, and a shiver went down her spine." As I said earlier, gods have a lot of presence in this series, and this is basically the introduction we're getting to the whole concept of them being real entities,
Mm-hmm.
which I like. I like this introduction. It also feels like a pseudo kiss from Rowan, even though it's not Rowan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to feel about it. Now, once Aelin is on the boat, they have to stay, in the cabins for a little bit, and then they get to go up on deck. And Rowan is following in his hawk form for as long as he can. Quote, "A white-tailed hawk still flew overhead, and it swooped low to brush its star-silvered wing against her cheek in farewell before it turned back with a sharp cry." It's a really nice way to show how much Rowan feels without him saying it. He did so much to try to convince her, but the true extent of his attachment to her is shown in this moment. And I like that it's also a mirror to the judging hawk Aelin kept seeing when she was drunk early on.
Yeah,
She'd be like,
yeah.
"That hawk is watching me and
Yeah.
it's judging me." But
And now it's
the
caressing her face,
yeah,
which is kind of gross. Birds are dirty.
yeah, yeah. But
It's beautiful.
I like the imagery of it.
I do too. Does he have rabies? We don't know. Does he have bird flu? Crack myself up. Then we get the last line of the book, and it just so fucking hits hard the way that this whole last half of the book is. Quote, "She lifted her face to the stars. She was Aelin Galathynius, heir of two mighty bloodlines, protector of a once glorious people, and queen of Terrasen. She was Aelin Galathynius. And she would not be afraid. And she would not be afraid." Oh, it's awesome. I was going in so strong, and then I just got humbled by my emotions. Real humbled. It's just the perfect ending. It's just the beginning of her mantra, of her titles. It's a reminder of not just her names, but her titles. And again, she is just truly coming into herself, which will go into the question of the week. But before we get to the question of the week, like last week, our breadcrumbs and broomsticks segment is spoilery by nature. So we're going to air that in a separate episode, which will come out this Thursday. And that is also where we're going to discuss listener thoughts and interpretations we've collected from your emails, DMs, and answer to our prompts. But before that, let's dive into our question of the season, which I feel like we've answered, but go ahead.
Do we believe Celaena's character arc as she morphs into Aelin Galathynius? Why or why not?
Part 2 is just so good. Even with part 1 bitching aside. Yeah, like I believe that she was a wreck. I believe she would be a wreck. I believe that Nehemia would be the thing that sets her off. I believe that Nehemia's death is not the thing she's mourning. And I think if there's anything we can take away from this is that it was never just about Nehemia with the reason why she was up top on the rooftop drinking. It was about so much more. Her pain, the fact that it was released, all of it made sense. The way that it was released and like it reached its boiling point. There was no more hiding it, right? Like she's done her maximum amount of like suppressing it. There is no more suppressing it. That is believable. Aelin having to train, that is believable. Aelin coming to this conclusion, that is believable. Our issues, or at least with mine, I won't speak for you. My issues with the first part of the book strictly comes from writing techniques. And a certain thing that happens that people asked us to stop mentioning. But it ultimately comes from very specific writing choices and techniques that I feel like hindered what is a great story and could have been better told in the first half.
Yeah, I agree with you in the sense that part 2 is this beautiful conclusion
Mm-hmm.
to what starts as a very fraught storyline.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. We are led to believe that Celaena's unhappiness at the beginning of the book is purely based on Nehemia, only for us to now realize, oh, it is the fact that the trauma of Nehemia's death recalled the initial trauma
Mm-hmm.
that happened to Aelin as a child. And that is a beautiful overarching story. And I love the way that SJM has wrapped it up for us, that we get to see this beautiful transition from the broken Celaena into this more healthy version of Aelin.
Yeah.
Ignore that which will not be named from
Chapter
episode
8.
number 2.
Yeah.
Chapter 8. Thank you. Ignore that. What made part 1 so difficult was because too much was trying to be done with
Mm-hmm.
not enough time given
Yeah.
to allow those things to succeed. And I wouldn't make part 1 longer. It was already too long to begin with. I understand the necessity for all these storylines to be together in this book. I don't know if part 1 could be improved upon.
And it's not us saying we would do any better.
No, not at all. Not at all. And that's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's possible for anybody to improve on part 1 because so much has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So much is told to us rather than shown to us. And that is the nature of restricted numbers of pages. And that we have to accept that. Now, I better understand why there are some people who love Heir of Fire. Some people who truly, truly love this book. And this is the book that changed everything for them.
Yeah.
For me, it was Queen of Shadows.
Mm-hmm.
That's what changed it for me. But I love what setup has occurred in this book.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell my love for Queen of Shadows hinges on part 2 of this book.
And you would not want to read Queen of Shadows if the ending kind of fell and landed the way that for us, the first half of the book did.
Yep.
The reason why people continue to read this massive book series when you get to this point, because everyone knows the first 3 books are, it totally changes after the first 3 books. You have to believe it. And this second half of the book, which part 2 is like what, probably comes in around 60% once the 60% mark is done, roughly.
Yeah.
It's past halfway. It's more than half.
Yeah. We didn't get into it until episode 8.
Yeah. It comes in later and it's just, it's good. So her arc, and I'm just rushing through this because we have to record another episode immediately after. But, you guys can stick around for breadcrumbs and broomsticks for Thursday. But I think that ultimately you and I land on, it does make sense. I love the ending of this book. SJM is absolutely fantastic. The characters had me crying. I ended up liking Rowan at the end. The thing that we will not mention, again, sets him up to be such a douchey man. And the man that we get at the end of the book is the man that people remember.
Completely different. Yeah.
And not the one that we're introduced to. And that is a good thing. That is I'm like coming in with caution. That's a very good thing. He was never supposed to be that guy. That's why Rowan at the beginning of the book does the thing we will not say, not the Rowan at the end of the book.
Right. The Rowan at the end of the book is a completely different person.
Yeah.
And I might be capable of liking him. Like,
yeah. I was starting to like him. Like, and more than just like, oh, he's great. But like, oh, do I like Rowan?
Right. Exactly. And I guess we have to wait until Queen of Shadows to discover more. But what Heir of Fire does is the same thing that any SJM book does, which is the first 65 to 75% of the book, you're like, what is going on? And then the last 25 to 35%, you're like, damn.
Yeah.
What a ride.
That's what's going on.
Yeah.
So who knows when we'll get to Queen of Shadow. In theory, we're doing Silver Flames next. I don't know. Like, we had an idea of doing Assassin's Blade, then Silver Flames, and then Queen of Shadow. And we posted a poll, and that was the least desirable order that people
which
wanted.
Is so funny.
Yeah, because then we're like, you tell me, guys, do you want a full analysis of Assassin's Blade, or are you fine with a shorter 5-episode breakdown of it?
Yeah. One for every vignette.
Type thing, yeah. Even though that's a fucking thick book. And those would be long episodes and long research. But I think that I personally don't think that Assassin's Blade, even though it's over 400 pages, which is insulting to be calling it a novella.
A novella?
Yeah, it's like it insults me as a person.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's right to spend 10 episodes on it.
I agree.
So let us know what you guys think in the comments, wherever you're listening to this, if it's on Spotify or wherever. But yeah. All right. We'll hear you for next time.
All right.
Thanks for listening to Book Talk for Book Talk with Jac and Amy. Join us Thursday for our breadcrumbs and broomsticks discussion of today's chapters.
If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps other readers find us. And of course, we'd love to hear what you thought of today's episode. Share your comments through our form at booktalkforbooktalk.com, and we might feature your feedback in a future mini episode or in a Patreon exclusive episode.
For merch and more ways to support the show, head to booktalkforbooktalk.com, and you can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at the handle BookTalk for BookTalk. And don't forget to join us by subscribing to the Subtext Society Journal.substack.com to get more insights into the romantasy and romance world. Bye.
I firmly believe in new year, new me, and that requires a wardrobe change.
It's actually cold in California. I am so excited because Quince has all of our staples covered. From soft Mongolian cashmere sweaters that feel like designer pieces without the markup, to 100% silk tops and skirts for easy dressing up, to perfectly cut denims for everyday wear.
I purposefully gave my partner my wool coat so I can get a Quince Italian wool coat because they are gorgeous. They're beautifully tailored, they're soft to the touch, and they're built to last years, not just one season.
That's because the quality shows in every detail. You can seriously tell with the stitch, with the fit, with the fabric. Every piece is thoughtfully designed.
Like everything from Quince, each piece is made with premium materials in ethical, trusted factories, which I love. Each piece is priced far below the cost of other luxury brands.
Refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Don't wait. Go to quince.com/booktalk for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada.
That's QUINCE.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, to get free shipping and 365 days returns.
Amy, you know how I've been going to the gym now 5 to 6 times a week?
You are in your beast era.
I really am. I now start every day with AG1. And I'm telling you, I feel great.
And now is the time more than ever to be proactive about supporting your health.
Especially when you're traveling over the holidays or honestly, the most germ-filled moment, large family gatherings. I know my family. It makes me feel more confident knowing that my immune system is getting the daily support it needs.
While everyone else at work has been getting sick, I've been taking my AG1 Next Gen, which contains more vitamins and minerals than ever before and is clinically shown to fill common nutrient gaps. And honestly, I enjoy the taste.
They taste so good. I don't know how they do that. Their flavors include original, citrus, berry, and tropical. What's been your favorite?
I've actually been doing the original pineapple and vanilla flavor.
You know I love citrus. I love their citrus.
AG1 has their best offer ever. If you head to drinkag1.com/booktalk, you'll get the welcome kit, a morning person hat, a bottle of vitamin D3 plus K2, an AG1 flavor sampler, and you'll get to try their new sleep supplement, AGZ, for free, which has been a game changer for my nightly routine.
That's drinkag1.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, for $126 in free gifts for new subscribers. I am traveling to visit my mom in Kentucky for Christmas, and then I'm going to Montana with you, Amy. My routine is completely thrown off, but there's one thing that I am maintaining. And that's Ritual.
Ritual is an obsessively researched multivitamin. Their essential multis have the nutrients most of us don't get enough from our food, especially me, all in their clean and absorbable forms. There's no shady additives or ingredients that do more harm than good.
I'm currently taking their essentials for women 18 plus, which contains 9 key nutrients in 2 delayed release capsules designed for optimal absorption per day.
We take their Symbiotic Plus Gut Health every evening before bed, and that minty freshness actually is like a little treat before I go to sleep.
Get to go to bed fresh. Ritual's essential third-party tested for heavy metals and clean label project certified.
Their products are HSA, FSA eligible with a seamless checkout experience, so you can even save when you shop with your pre-tax dollars.
Instead of striving for perfect health, aim for supportive foundational health.
Our listeners get 25% off your first month at ritual.com/booktalk.
That's ritual.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, for 25% off your first month. I wear glasses every day of the week except weekends, and those become my fun contact days until I'm about to run out, which I am on my last pair of contacts right now. 1-800-CONTACTS has been my go-to for refills with my contacts.
I've known you long enough that you'll go weeks without getting your contacts because of the location. But 1-800-CONTACTS skips the hassle. They offer free and fast shipping on every order.
For over 30 years, 1-800-CONTACTS has been the leader in online contact lens delivery with millions of contacts in stock and award-winning customer service.
They even offer free returns and exchanges, which means you can order confidently. They even offer unbeatable perks like free torn lens replacement. Their best price guarantee means if you find your contacts at a lower price elsewhere, they will beat it. That's a promise you won't find everywhere.
That's seriously why I keep going back to 1-800-CONTACTS. And they have extra discounts for new customers on their site.
Getting contacts doesn't have to be a hassle. Let 1-800-CONTACTS get you the contact lenses you need right now.
Order online at 1-800-CONTACTS.com or download the free 1-800-CONTACTS app today.
One of the things that was really hard to learn about banking as a young 20-something was how to avoid overdraft fees and building enough credit to actually have a credit card. There are so many ways Chime is making banking stress-free. They don't charge you fees for banking with them, and they provide you overdraft coverage. And on top of that, you can build credit without the worry about a regular credit card.
There's a reason why Chime is rated 5 stars by USA Today for customer service, because they offer real humans 24/7. I can't tell you the amount of times I have called my bank crying because I cannot stop talking to the robot who cannot help me.
I personally feel like every 20-something-year-old out there needs a Chime card. It's a great way to build credit history with your own money that you're actually earning, and you get rewarded every day.
And for those of us who might not be 20-something, still highly recommend it because of the no annual fees, no interest, no strings attached, and when you qualify for direct deposits, you get 1.5% cash back on eligible Chime card purchases. That's good for anyone.
It's good for everyone.
Chime is not just smarter banking. It is the most rewarding way to bank. Join the millions who are already banking fee-free today.
It just takes a few minutes to sign up. Head to chime.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK.
That's chime.com/booktalk.
Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services, a secured Chime Visa credit card, and MyPay line of credit provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. MyPay eligibility requirements apply, and credit limit ranges $20 to $500. Optional services and products may have fees or charges. See chime.com/fees info. Advertised annual percentage yield with Chime Plus status only. Otherwise, 1.00% APY applies. No min balance required. Chime card on-time payment history may have a positive impact on your credit score. Results may vary. See chime.com for details and applicable terms.